Anderson Julio, past Tarbell, empty net. Anderson Julio!
FC Dallas ended the regular season on a high, securing their playoff spot with a 2-1 win over the Vancouver Whitecaps at BC Place last Saturday. That victory and other results launched Dallas into 7th place in the West, helping them dodge the play-in game. They begin the first round tonight on the road against those same Whitecaps in a best-of-3 series. The Burn look for their first playoff victory since 2023 tonight as they take on Vancouver. Along the lines of the FC Dallas Radio Network, it is the FC Dallas pregame show presented by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. On tonight's presentation, we'll hear from FC Dallas forward Sam Sarver. Our commentary team for the evening, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, will join me to break down tonight's playoff opening contest for Dallas. And, of course, as we always do for road matches, we bring in the Don of Dallas Soccer, FC Dallas, to talk about the major headlines. Steve, it's been 2 years since I've gotten to say this. Happy MLS Cup Playoffs to you, sir.
Well, how about that, Sam? We could have been watching Dallas Cowboys get shellacked, but here we are instead getting to watch some MLS playoff soccer, and I, for one, am happy about it.
I can't say I'm unhappy about either one of those things, but I'm much more happy about FC Dallas playing in MLS's second season. But before we go there, we should take a brief stop at the first season, which saw Dallas come from as far as 13th all the way up to 7th on decision day. So regardless of what happens going forward, do we think that 2025 FC Dallas was a success based on their regular season performance?
Yeah, I think so. Look, it's only a 3-point improvement over what they did last year, but a couple of big differences. Playoffs. You know, it's all about making the playoffs in Major League Soccer. It's the low bar that everybody tries to hurdle. It means everything in MLS, and they made the playoffs this year, actually avoiding the play-in game. Also, it's about the way they finished, trending upward. You know, if you start out hot and then you finish trending down, and then you only improve by 3 points, you'd say, well, I don't know, that we could have a conversation about whether that's real improvement. But the way they trended upward, 6-3-4 over the last 3 months, even better over the last 10 games, to trend that way and make the playoffs, yes, no matter what happens in the series, I think it's already been, you could already label it somewhat successful.
Before we get to the lineup, this is, every comic book is somebody's first. So if you're a brand new FC Dallas fan and you're tuning in, you're like, what's this playoffs thing? Maybe you started last year and you missed it under the Estevez-Luxin operation. For this first round, it's a best of 3. 2 things. 1, what's the procedure for that as far as extra time? And 2, how does that change how FC Dallas wants to play these games based on those rules, if at all?
Yeah, I don't know how much it actually does change the way you approach it a little bit if you're talking about versus the old home and away format. So it's best of 3. For this best of 3 series, if it's tied after 90 minutes, boom, straight to penalty kicks. I don't think we won't talk about that probably at some point if the match is tied and who that might favor. So it's going to be best of 3. There's no aggregate goals. What happens there is a 5-0 loss is no different than a 1-0 loss. It doesn't matter. It's just one game. Then you come back and play the second game either way. So, and I think what that does when it was home and away aggregate goals, people were a little cautious, especially in that first game, because you didn't want to, if you got up a goal, you're doing okay there. But if you got behind a goal, you didn't want to go behind by 2 goals and then have to come back home and down 2 goals. So everybody was a little cautious. This way, I think it allows people to be just a little bit more aggressive, and that's what Vancouver certainly wants to do. In moments, that's what Dallas wants to do, so I think it does make for a more exciting series.
I know there's some longtime fans that have a little bit of PTSD about the home and away aggregate based on the idea of just what happened in Seattle that last time as well. But let's look at tonight's lineup as Dallas looks to try and steal home field advantage for Game 1. It's Michael Collodi in net for FC Dallas, Shaq Moore, Osazi Urigede, Sebastian Ibiaga on the back line, Ramiro, Kaique, Christian Kappas, Bernard Kamungo in the midfield, Sam Sarver, Anderson Julio, and Petar Musa up top for the Burn. And obviously the big news there is 2 big returns to the lineup, Petar Musa up top at striker, Ramiro at right back. Logan Farrington, who was suspended for decision day, is available, but he's off the bench. But, kind of the surprise there is he's been starting alongside Petar Musa a lot. But Sam Sarver and Anderson Julio keep their starting spots after waiting on decision day.
Yeah, so obviously the big news there, Peter Musa coming back in. When your 18-goal scorer comes back in the lineup, that's important. I think Ramiro coming back in is more important than a lot of people realize because of a couple of knock-on effects from there. So I think we should explain it's going to be the same 5-2-3 that we've seen for the last 2 months. They drop in lost possession. They drop into the 5 very quickly, so it's 5 across the back. Kappas and KK defend the midfield, and then one of the front 3 sort of drops in on the backside to become the third midfielder. So then they defend out of a 5-3-2. So that's how it sort of looks. As far as Sam Sarver, we know that Eric Quill likes to ride the hot hand, and that's what he's doing here. He loves Logan. He trusts Logan, but tactically, he thinks that Sam Sarver is better in this role. It's because he believes that the center backs for Vancouver, their whole back line is decimated by injuries. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but he feels like the 2 center backs they have, they cannot run with Anderson Julio. They might be able to run with Logan Farrington, but they can't run with Sam Sarver. For all the things that Logan Farrington gives you, he's not a fast guy. Sam Sarver can get you with speed. Sam Sarver doesn't have a lot of things that Logan has, but he has the speed. So it's riding the hot hand. It's understanding tactically what can get Dallas goals today, and that's what Eric Quill thinks. And by the way, we're going to see Logan Farrington at some point. I'm sure of it.
Oh, I have to be certain. And that matchup of Peter Musa versus the center backs will be a very large focus of our tactical breakdown because it is the matchup to watch tonight. Well, Dallas, once again, they played Vancouver on decision day, won. So their reward is they get to do it all over again, although this time the squads are going to look slightly different. Not that different, especially on Vancouver's side. But how does that really benefit either side? Because you can argue FC Dallas now has continuity, and they remember, hey, we just did this. But they also have to travel 5.5 hours each way now, twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the thing is, Sam, I think in another circumstance, we would certainly have this conversation about who has the benefit when they play in this kind of sort of an odd circumstance. You play on decision day, then you turn right back around, and they're going to play at least twice, maybe 3 times. And so who would have the advantage? I'm not sure that discussion is as relevant today simply because these games are going to look very different, right? Dallas played about 80 minutes the other day with a man advantage. That made it a very different game. Dallas still sort of conceded possession, but it still looked a little differently. Muller was playing in a different role. So I just don't know that game told us a lot about how this game is going to unfold. I think because Vancouver did dominate possession, they have a lot of reason to be confident. But I think because Dallas gets 2 starters back in, they get 3 starters back. Just one of them isn't going to be in the first 11. They have reason to be optimistic tonight. So I'm just not sure that game has much relevance to this one.
Well, and in that stance, obviously Vancouver comes in. We've already mentioned their top 3 center backs are down. No Veselinovic, no Tristan Blackman, no Matias Laborda. So they're going to be going with their 4th and 5th choices at very best. But they're also coming off the knowledge that they lost last week, that in a big moment, albeit aided with the red card, they did lose. So I'm curious, is this a moment where they're going to come out, we think they're going to be aggressive, or are they going to be demoralized a little bit, or can we even know that?
No, I think we can know that. By the way, I would say, Sam, they're down to their 5th and 6th choice center backs because Jurek Pupa, who came in from Belgium over the summer, that he was one of 2 extra defenders that they brought in. So I think, and then Laborda going out, I think you could surmise that they're now on their 5th and 6th choice center backs. One of them is actually Ralph Priso, is a defensive midfielder by trade. So it's not looking good right there for them. But they have a lot of confidence. A lot of it is about a certain German who is a World Cup winner and about a 48-time Bundesliga winner at Bayern Munich. That's just a little bit of an exaggeration, although not that much. I watched his post-game news conference the other day, Sam. He basically smiled and shrugged his shoulders. He's like, okay, we lost with 10 men. You know what? And he's like, and we dominated possession, and their goalkeeper played a great game, talking about Michael Collodi. He's like, we're going to be fine, guys. He literally just said it just like that. He said, sometimes stuff happens, and, we got a guy throwing out early. We're going to be fine. So I think they're still very confident as to whether they're going to be aggressive. You doggone right they are, because that's what they've been this year under Jesper Sorensen, who I think is going to be Coach of the Year. They have a system that they believe in. They know their roles. They understand the system. They move the ball forward fairly quickly. Once they get into the attacking third, they like to get the touches in the box. They led MLS in touches this year in the box. So, yes, aggression is their name.
Yeah, that Thomas Muller guy will definitely be a feature in our third segment.
Did I do all that and didn't even say his name? I did, didn't I?
I think you did at one point, maybe only once, but
Thomas Muller.
Yeah, Thomas Muller, a big feature of what we'll talk about in that segment, since everything from Vancouver really runs through him as of late. But most of what we do runs through Steve Davis, who joined us for that first segment. We'll hear from him and Ryan in that third segment. Steve, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sam.
When we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, we'll hear from FC Dallas forward Sam Sarver. This is FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Logan Farrington, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A dinner. All season long when FC Dallas wins at home, fans win free Chick-fil-A. Be sure your Chick-fil-A app is up to date and location services are turned on when you attend matches at Toyota Stadium. After the team wins, before you leave your seats, open the app to redeem the Chick-fil-A offer. Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. In our next segment, it'll be Ryan Figert and Steve Davis joining me. We'll break down the lineups, the tactics, the storylines, everything you need to know about tonight's Game 1 of the 2025 MLS Cup Playoffs between Dallas and Vancouver. But while we have a moment, let me tell you about the FC Dallas Radio Podcast Network, which is your hub for everything FC Dallas. Of course, you'll find the signature postgame show there after we finish it live here on the network. Analysis, stats, highlights, everything you need about the game that was in roughly 30 minutes or so, almost 30 minutes. Last week we gave you 40 because, hey, it was a big game. We were all feeling pretty good. But you'll never find a better encapsulation of the game that was, and it goes live after we finish on the radio network, and then it goes up the night of on the podcast feed. But, of course, this year, almost every Wednesday, we've started giving you the FC Dallas agenda. That's Ryan, that's Steve, that's Garrett Meltzer, the FC Dallas Insider, talking about long-form analysis. We get big interviews, game previews, game reviews, everything that you need for FC Dallas in audio form can be found on that show again, almost every Wednesday on the FC Dallas agenda. Of course, if you want to hear those podcasts, here's how you do it. Go to your podcast provider of choice. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, everywhere you get great podcasts, we're there. Type in FC Dallas Radio Network, hit subscribe when you see the big bowl logo, and that way you won't miss any of our great content. And by the way, did I mention it's free? Because it's all free as well. Again, FC Dallas Radio Network on your podcast provider of choice. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our great content. And speaking of the FC Dallas agenda, let's hear an episode from this week's episode where Garrett Meltzer got to sit down with FC Dallas forward Sam Sarver.
Just how are you feeling after these impressive performances you're putting in?
On cloud nine a little bit, especially kind of being involved in both teams getting into the playoffs on decision day is pretty cool. Coach Eric said, I don't know if there's ever been a player to do that at the club, to have a role on both playoff pushes. So it's super cool and super fortunate to have made my first start. Obviously, we were missing some guys, so we had to call some guys in to start, and I just tried my best to live up to the moment. So
when did you know that you're going to be starting that game, that all-important game up in Vancouver on Saturday?
I want to say, let's say we played them on what, Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Probably on Tuesday. I think he told me. He said I was going to start up top with Julio. Monday or Tuesday, yeah.
What kind of instructions, did he give you in terms of what you need to do tactically and all those kind of things?
We kind of knew, as I'm sure you guys knew when you saw me and Julio up top, it was going to be a, in behind type of game because we obviously aren't hold-up players by any means. And that's what drew the red card right away. So that was really our game plan. I think he drew up a really good game plan in terms of, you have to know when a team strength in some areas, and Vancouver's such a good team. If you lose the ball in the middle of the field, they'll really hurt you. So our game plan was kind of avoid the middle of the field and overhit balls in behind and let me and Julio chase them. And so
it worked out.
It did.
Was there ever a moment in that game, maybe at the start, when you had to kind of pinch yourself? Because if you go back a year ago, you're playing college soccer, and if you go back just a few months ago, you had never played in MLS and you were on a North Texas SC contract. It's been kind of a whirlwind for you over the last few months, I would say. So going into that one, did it ever feel like, wow, this is actually happening?
Yeah, definitely. Just like looking around, walking out with the starting 11 was kind of surreal. But it was kind of like, I'm still young in my career, and knock on wood, God's plan, hopefully I have a long career, but it was kind of like an I made it moment, that's like what you dream of as a kid. And you're right, it has been a whirlwind, especially seeing other guys that I played with in college that were getting MLS minutes and kind of, in a way, feeling left out a bit because I was with the second team. But I kind of just learned that comparison's like the thief of joy. So I stopped really caring about what other guys got, what contracts at other clubs, and I just took care of my business on that end and just put my head down and worked. And obviously Dallas rewards guys for doing that, and yeah.
When we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis will join me to break down tonight's lineup, tactics, and storylines. This is FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar. Wow, at the world of WinStar.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Leggett, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. We've got just over 20 minutes from kickoff at BC Place, so let's go ahead and get you tonight's starting lineups, and those are brought to you by Advocare. We'll start first with the home side Vancouver Whitecaps and first-year head coach Jesper Sorensen. It's Yohei Takaoka in net for the Caps, Ediero Campa, Bilal Halbouni, Ralph Priso, and Tate Johnson on the back line, Andres Kubas and Sebastian Berhalter in the midfield, Ali Ahmed, Thomas Muller, Emmanuel Sabi supporting Daniel Rios up top for the Caps. And now let's bring you the starting lineup for FC Dallas and first-year manager Eric Quill.
Michael Colodi, goalkeeper, Frisco, Texas.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Osaze Origide, center back, Netherlands, Nijmegen.
Sebastian Ibiaga, center back, Duke University.
Ramiro Benetti, midfielder, Brazil.
Kaique, midfield, Brazil.
Christian Capes, midfielder, Houston, Texas.
Bernard Camungo, I'm a winger, and I'm from Abilene, Texas.
Sam Sarver, forward, Chesterland, Ohio.
Anderson Julio, soy delantero y soy de Quito, Ecuador.
Petar Musa, forward, from Zagreb, Croatia.
And the bench tonight for Dallas: Martin Paz, Lalas Abubakar, Sebastian Lletget, Paxton Pomacall, Pedrinho, Logan Farrington, Josh Torquato, Nolan Norris, and Enes Sali. And before we bring in Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, let's go live to Vancouver and our FC Dallas insider Garrett Meltzer as he spoke ahead of tonight's match with Osaze Urhoghide and Sam Sarver.
Osaze, about an hour away from your first MLS playoff game. How are you feeling? How is the team feeling?
Yeah, I'm excited. First playoff game in MLS. Team's feeling confident going into this game. Obviously, we have some players back coming up from a win the last game, and still a lot to prove this game really and show everyone what we've got. So we've been working hard during the week, and we're just here to show us what we can do.
Second game in this stadium in just 8 days. You guys got the huge win on decision day. Did that result give you confidence going into this one?
Yes, definitely. Knowing that we know what they have, and we know what we can do. And obviously, it's going to be 11v11 today, and we know we can finish out on top if we prove ourselves and perform to the best of our abilities.
We're walking on the field right now. It is turf. It's a synthetic surface. Maybe not the best you've played on. How does that affect your play? Do you have to think how the ball bounces any different? What's your take on it?
I'm not really a big fan of turf, but it is what it is. The ball moves differently on turf in terms of the bounce. You have to try to watch the bounce. It doesn't really bounce as much, the trajectory of the ball. But at the end of the day, we're all playing on the same field, so we just have to be the best on the day, really. So we'll just get ahead with it.
You scored for FC Dallas last game in this stadium. You think you got another one in you?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we were talking about celebrations, so I'll be really working hard to get another one, really. So pushing for another goal and get the result today.
Well, I hope you put another one in the back of the net. Osaze, thank you so much for your time and best of luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
Sam, you're about to start your first playoff game as a professional player. What's going through your mind right now?
Just soaking it all in, really. It's been a childhood dream of mine, and it was definitely one of my goals I set out for myself when I first got drafted here. And, to have the coaching staff's trust to, put me in the starting 11 means a lot, and I'm just hoping I can show that they made the right decision.
You played a great game here just 8 days ago. What did you learn from the first game that you can apply to this one?
No, 100%. I'd like to put in a better performance. I want to get on the score sheet, get another assist. I think last game shows we can really compete with anyone in the league. We have all the players and all the pieces of the puzzle to do it. And, I think this turnaround these last, 13 or so games have shown why, we're in the spot we are now. And I'm just trying to contribute any way I can.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sam. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Garrett Meltzer, who's on scene in Vancouver, giving us Osaze Urhoghide and Sam Sarver ahead of their playoff debuts for FC Dallas. Let's bring in a couple of guys who have definitely experienced FC Dallas playoffs before. It's Ryan Figert, it's Steve Davis. And Ryan, there's a lot of stats about these game ones, both for this particular group and for the MLS playoffs in general. But the key kind of takeaway seems to be, if you get game one, the likelihood is you will win the series.
Yeah, just purely statistically, 14 out of 16 times that the winner of game one has gone on to advance in the series. Dallas obviously coming in as underdogs, but I think they're very comfortable in that role. They've been in that role for a while, ever since they started the climb out of the cellar of the Western Conference. Vancouver, I think, likewise feels comfortable in the role as favorites. So it's interesting to see how both teams can play into those narratives that have been set coming into the game and coming into the series, because I think Dallas is confident. They have reason to be confident, as Steve Davis has told us over the last couple of times that we've sat here and talked. Both teams have reason to be confident. That makes for an exciting series. Yeah, that's dog spelled DAWGS for anyone keeping track at home. And Steve, as we talk about the big matchup tonight, Apple just showed us a stat that Vancouver 15-0-3 this year when they score first, 3-7-2 when they concede first, which means that puts even more impetus on the returning Petar Musa against a patchwork back line to try and get Dallas on the scoreboard early and hopefully often.
Yeah, I tell you what, Halbuni and Priso, the center backs for Vancouver, they have their hands full. I wondered, Sam, if we're going to see just a little bit different Petar Musa. He likes to drop it anyway. I wonder if we're going to see a little bit more false nine action today. I wonder if we're going to see him drop in a little bit more still as he then looks to spring the two runners in behind him. I think that we're going to see that front three play pretty narrow. I think that's the plan. Now, that's going to depend on, the two wingbacks getting up to supply the width. But I think what it's going to look like is Petar Musa tried to drop in, get possession, and then spring either Sarver or Anderson Julio in behind him.
And Ryan, obviously, we thought when Logan Farrington would come back from suspension, we kind of thought, hey, he'll just reclaim his place in the lineup, and we'll figure out what to do with the Patrickson who picked up a knock in the decision day game. But no, Anderson Julio, Sam Sarver both keep their spots for Coach Eric Quill, and on one level, it's a little surprising, but on the other end, for a guy that values consistency in his lineup, it's actually very much not.
Yeah, I think anyone that's been paying attention to how Eric Quill sets out the team is not surprised that he's riding with a couple of guys that have been really effective over the last couple of weeks, and were effective against this very same back line last week. Sam Sarver drawing the red card and setting up the goal for Ka'ike, the winning goal. And Julio's speed is just always a threat over the top, and particularly now getting Musa back into the team. We've seen all the way back to week 1 of the season in Houston, he was the one that dropped in, put the ball over the top for Julio to score the winning goal, and he did that again against LA Galaxy to set up the goal for Julio at that point as well just a couple weeks ago. So we know he has that ability, as Steve said, to drop in and sort of orchestrate, and now he's got real speed and runners in behind to try and take advantage of that.
And on the other end, Steve, obviously Farrington does some things that a lot of other players don't do. He's the agitator. He'll draw free kicks. He'll draw fouls. And without that, you're kind of feel a little bit bad. But there's a little bit of Logan Farrington and Sam Sarver, too. I feel like that hopefully maybe he can agitate some of those Vancouver defenders, even maybe some of the midfielders, and give Dallas that advantage as well.
Yeah, he's going to bother defenders in a very different way. He's going to draw fouls, too, but the way he draws fouls is basically his game is get on the ball through who's absent again tonight because of that. So Farrington gets fouls by looking for that contact and initiating the contact in different ways, and then and drawing those kind of fouls. So they're a little bit different that way, but look, this is not Logan Farrington being benched so much as either one of them. I think I know Eric Quill would be very comfortable starting them. Again, it's just riding the hot hand and then understanding tactically how they can get a goal. And I think the way he has lined up the team, I think that gives them their best chance to get an early goal, which we know would be very important. And,
this might be a little bit of game theory, Ryan, because we saw last week what this roster looked like without Musa, without Farrington, and without having that big guy up top. It just looks different and is maybe not as effective. But now let's say Musa can give you 70, 75. If you need to call to the bench at the 75th minute or the 80th minute, well, you don't have to worry about replacing him because here's Logan Farrington to come on and do all the same things.
Yeah, you definitely have more depth with the players coming back in. And you've also got experience for the likes of a Boubacar, a Pomykal, a Sebastian Lletget. Pedrinho can change the game off the bench. We've seen that this season. And then along the back line, Nolan Norris and Josh Torquato were involved in seeing out the game last week. So a lot of really good options on the bench for Eric Quill, and I think that's huge in a game where you've got to go for it. Like we said, game 1 is really the deciding factor in whether where the series goes from there. And if you can steal the game on the road, and I think this is an opportunity for Dallas to do so with the suspension to Laborda, with the players out. Brian White, Tristan Blackman may be back within the next 2 weeks. They could play next week. They could play in game 3. So Dallas needs to come out early. They need to come out aggressive and build off the momentum that they got last week at BC Place. Try and punch Vancouver in the mouth and make sure they don't score first, because we saw what the record is when they do.
And if Dallas does score first or even have the lead at any time, having Ramiro back at that right wing-back spot is so important, Steve, not just because of the physical gifts that he has, what he can do, physically, but just his organization, his communication, his leadership. That feels like as we get later into the match, that could be just huge for Dallas.
It's funny. I was talking to the Apple broadcasters earlier this week, and, we were just going over the game and just chit-chatting about things. And I was telling them about how Kappas and Ramiro are really just unsung heroes in this whole thing. If you haven't, and I told them because they haven't watched a lot of FC Dallas this year. The pair for Apple have been mostly on the East Coast. So I said, just you guys are good about really watching the game and understand that Kappas and Ramiro are glue guys. So you ask about Ramiro as far as communication with Ka'ike in particular, as far as being wise in the positioning, being there before they need to be there, things like that. Being smart in possession and always doing something wise and sensible with the ball. So both those guys, so important to Dallas' midfield, and I think it's easy to overlook their contributions.
And, if it comes down to it, Ryan, this could be a matchup of goaltenders, and we've got 2 really good ones tonight in Yohei Takaoka, who admittedly gave up 2 last week, but they were down a man for pretty much all of those goals. And then we've got the red-hot Michael Collodi, who has forced himself into a starting spot down the stretch. If it comes down to where, hey, it's going to be a goalkeeper war, who do you feel more confident in right now?
Honestly, especially in terms of shot stopping, Michael Collodi for me is one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the playoffs amongst the teams that are still alive. And I think the numbers bear that out as well. His post-shot expected goals against, his advanced metrics really rank him amongst the league's best. And in a limited sample size, he played 9 games in the regular season, got a couple of shutouts, but really, caught the eye on decision day. And he's riding the hot hand, as you said. And on Takaoka, his advanced metrics are actually really, really bad. And it's interesting, his style of play fits how Vancouver wants to play with the ball. He's decent with the ball at his feet. He can cut you through the press very easily, and Eric Quill has talked about that. He's aware of that threat. But in terms of shot stopping and against somebody with the quality of Petter Moose in front of goal, honestly, I don't think that the strength of Vancouver is in the goal or in the center backs, and that leaves a lot of room for Musa to take advantage.
Yeah, it's very strange. Takaoka probably this is his best fit. If he went anywhere else, things probably would not go as well. But someone that could probably be great anywhere he goes, Steve, is Thomas Müller, the German international, who won basically everything there was to win during his tenure in Germany. He's now come to Vancouver. He makes his debut in the MLS Cup Playoffs. I don't think he's going to have trouble adjusting to the intensity, but, I mean, that is going to be the big thing. And I'm curious, even though they were down a man, how much can they take, they being FC Dallas, from last week's game to try and defend him coming into tonight?
You always learn something in every match. As far as Thomas Müller, my heavens, I mean, he brings a world of experience and leadership, and he's just that guy that's going to walk on the field and just make everybody around him feel like they can lift the world. I mean, this guy's been in World Cups, World Cup qualifiers, Champions League, Bundesliga biggies, European championships. He walks on here having played, having forgotten more about playing in big games than anybody for FC Dallas combined knows about that stuff. So he's the guy that gives you a tremendous confidence all around the team. Eric Quill, talking to the media this week, said, I'm happy if we can let other guys on Vancouver be the ones to beat us, but we can't let it be Thomas Müller. It's a tough task. He also, I think a good quote from Eric Quill about Thomas Müller was, he plays hide and seek out there, and that really is his style of play. He pops up in the pockets where you least expect him. He creates overloads. He just plays the game with his brain at such a high level, and so Dallas has to be aware of where he is at all times. Communication has to be on point between Kappas, Ramiro, Kaique, and the center backs. He's the one to watch for sure.
And, as we talk about managers, we were kind of talking in postgame last week about Jesper Sorensen's strategy near the end with his substitutes, Dallas up 2-1 coming late. And I'm kind of wondering, Ryan, I was thinking about this during the week. Do you think maybe Jesper Sorensen saw how the wind was blowing? Because we didn't see Jaden Nelson at all. We saw Ryan Gauld for limited minutes. Do you think he maybe said, okay, I can kind of see where this is going. Let me hold on to my big guns because I know we've got a huge game next week.
I don't see it that way, to be honest. I think they really wanted to finish on top of the Western Conference. We knew that no matter what, from the Dallas perspective, if they reached this round, they were going to be playing Vancouver, whether it was in the 1 versus 8 or in the 7 against 2. So I honestly, and this is really surprising to say, but I think Jaden Nelson has just lost his place, and he was further down the pecking order than we expected him to be. The new signing that came in, Kenji Cabrera, made a little bit of an impact off the bench, and he plays in the same sort of wide areas. So those two competing for one spot. As good as Nelson was, particularly early in the season, looks like he may have fallen out of favor.
And Ryan Gauld, I think they're just being a little protective of him.
Yeah, genuinely the parallels between his situation and Paxton Pomykal are very strong. They had a similar sort of contact injury in the knee that was not expected to be long-term, and then it continued to fester and continued to be a struggle for them. Now he's finally made his way back. I mean, when he was injured, they were saying maybe a month, and he'll be ready for the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. Then it was 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and now he's finally back and getting more minutes for this team. He was an MVP candidate a couple of years ago. That's the level of player that they have coming into the game off the bench, and adding that alongside Muller in attack, it's certainly threatening. So Dallas needs to get off early before those guys can get into the game.
And zooming out on those managers just a little bit, Steve, it's their first time in the MLS playoffs. Obviously, Jesper Sorensen, a lot of international experience. Eric Quill has won a championship, but that was with North Texas. And I'm curious, when it comes down to these big playoff series and you've got first-time managers getting to do it, do you put in any stock that, hey, there may be a little bit of a who blinks first? Because there's razor-thin margins in these games, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, but it's not an elimination match, but it's an elimination series. Look, they won the Canadian Championship. They made a deep, deep run in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I think everybody's through underestimating Jesper Sorensen. I certainly am.
Yeah, I think Eric Quill has got experience not in the MLS Cup playoffs as well, but in knockout games. With New Mexico last year, they made a nice run in the Open Cup as underdogs. I think ultimately the biggest narrative around this game for me is that Dallas loves being the underdogs, and everybody expects Vancouver to go through, and that's right where Dallas wants to be. No real pressure on them to go out and win this game, but if they can, then the pressure will really shift to Vancouver going into the game too.
Well, if we're going to have a playoff match, we better have some playoff keys to the match. Those are presented by Toyota, and as always, they're also presented by Steve Davis.
Thank you, Sam. Number one key, speed in the attack. Peter Musa is still the star of the attacking show here, but Sarver, Anderson, Julio are vital co-stars. The reason their ability to use their speed to get it behind Vancouver's patchwork back line can be the key to this whole series, I think. Simply put, those two are faster than the entire Caps defense. So that's so important tonight. Number two key, you just got to limit Thomas Muller's touches. 8 goals, 4 assists over 8 games in all competitions. He's really made an impact, not just with the leadership, but on the field. He's elite. As Ryan just told you, finding those half spaces. They're not going to stop him from getting the ball, but can they limit the number of times he gets possession through good marking, good occupation of the passing lanes? Just try to limit the times he can get on the ball. And number 3, we talked about it a couple of times, no change in mentality. I mean, they've been under heavy pressure for 2 or 3 months now, fighting with all they had just to make the playoffs. So they are locked in. They know how to fight. They have the elimination game mentality already. Just got to keep it now. And those are your keys presented by Toyota.
Thank you, Steve Davis. Obviously, FC Dallas trying to win on the road, trying to steal home field advantage away from Vancouver. And while that might be scary, remember, FC Dallas is coming off their best ever road regular season, 23 points acquired away from Toyota Stadium. That's the best raw number, and it's also their best points per game number in the franchise's history. If there's one group that's not afraid of playing away from Fortress Frisco, it's Eric Quill's gentlemen as they get ready for a best-of-3 game 1 tonight.
They're dogs. They're not gentlemen.
That's true. They are dogs. They are indeed, and the road dogs need to show up one more time if they want to try to advance to the conference semifinals for the first time since 2022. But that's going to do it for the pregame show. When we return, Ryan and Steve, get you ready. It's game 1 of 3 tonight from BC Place. FC Dallas, the 7th seed, plays Vancouver Whitecaps, the number 2 seed, across the border. You're listening to FC Dallas Playoff Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack. The WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Ibiaga. Tonight's FC Dallas match is up next, right here on the FC Dallas app.
Well, welcome back to BC Place. A week after the memorable Decision Day win in Vancouver, Dallas is back at the home of the Caps to start the MLS Cup Playoffs tonight. Eric Quill and his side are reinforced by the returns of Peter Musa, Ramiro, and Logan Farrington, adding those key players back in to the team that managed to beat Vancouver, upsetting them last week. They climbed the mountain once. To move on to the playoffs, they'll have to do it twice more. And it all starts tonight here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. We are moments away from kickoff. Ryan Figert alongside Steve Davis. Steve, welcome back to playoff time. Best time of the year.
Yeah, most certainly is. No argument here, Ryan.
Victor Rivas, the man in the middle, is the 2023 MLS Referee of the Year in his 8th season. Nice experience. Nice record for Dallas with Rivas in the middle, 6-3-3 all time. He's assisted by Kyle Adkins and Diego Blas. The video assistant referee is Armando Villarreal. BC Place is packed tonight. The entire lower bowl sold out, 25,000 plus some more in the upper deck. They're here to see Thomas Muller and the Whitecaps try and win Game 1. If Dallas is going to spoil the party for the second straight week, Steve, if you could boil it down to something simple, what's it going to take?
Goals by Sarver or Anderson Julio running in behind, because I think that's where they have an advantage, or maybe Peter Musa ragdoll on one of those center backs. We talked about how it's the 5th or 6th choice center back for Vancouver, so I think Dallas has a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, I'm also open to another early red card if they want to oblige that request. Dallas breaking their huddle, wearing the red and blue kit tonight. Getting a look at Kaique at the moment, scored the winning goal. A big moment for him in his young career. By far the biggest stage he's played on at the age of 19. 7 players in the Dallas 11 making their MLS Cup Playoffs debut. Peter Musa, of course, principal amongst them. All of his goals over the last 2 seasons leading to this. After Dallas missed the playoffs in 2024, they return to the first round. It's best of 3 tonight, starting in Vancouver before it shifts back to Frisco a week from tonight.
Dallas has a good bench tonight. Logan Farrington could bring some energy, fight off the bench. Sebastian Lletget could give you some possession. Abubakar could give you a little ability to defend those that late game chaotic moments, if that's what it's going to take. Paxton could give you a little guile and experience off the bench. Of course, they've got a fine goalkeeper on the bench if something were to happen to Michael Colodi with Paz sitting back there.
Well, we are underway in the 2025 MLS Cup Playoffs. Vancouver takes the kickoff and launch it long out towards Bernie Kamungo. Ibeagha able to repel and quickly find the feet of Peter Musa. 1-2 with Kaique, and as we suspected he might, Musa dropping in early, trying to dictate the pace of play. Down the line towards Sam Sarver, made a real nuisance of himself in his first MLS start on decision day. Through the red card and picked up an assist, his first start.
Yeah, Vancouver will have a plan to deal with Sam Sarver, but he'll just need to find those central spaces over there, right central and left central spaces.
Kaique beaten to the ball in the middle of the field there by Berhalter. He gets it out wide left for Ahmed. Ali Ahmed surprisingly went scoreless in the regular season, but he did provide 8 assists. He starts on the left wing for Vancouver tonight. Looking for Thomas Muller early. Wearing his famous number 13, captain's armband on the left bicep. Here he is, top of the box. Gets it back for Berhalter, chipped out towards Ocampo. Ocampo to the byline. Cut back cross is... Well, he got it all wrong. Lost his footing at the crucial moment, and Kamungo's defending was good enough, as it's actually Sabi going for the attempted cross. That's going to be a goal kick.
Yeah, nice little clipped-in ball there from Sebastian Berhalter. Got it behind Bernie Kamungo. Kamungo does a really good job there of recovering his defensive position and eventually wins the little battle over there. I think he got a little lucky in that it's a goal kick, not a corner kick.
Michael Colodi will take the goal kick, and he'll look to launch it long, now with a target to aim at. But defying expectation here, he rolls it out short to Shaq Moore, and it's Shaq to send it down the field. Musa offside there. Not quite ready for the long ball, as he tried to flick it on towards Sarver.
He'd have been onside if Colodi just gone to him directly, because you're not offside on a goal kick, but when it went short to Shaq, it changed the scenario.
Well, here's Ali Ahmed in behind Ramiro. Shaq Moore in retreat. Ahmed stabs it to the top of the box. Thomas Muller's shot blocked back towards him. But it breaks for Kamungo to dribble clear. And then in behind quickly for Julio. 3 in the attack for Dallas. Julio 1v1 with Ocampo. Going to use his speed to go towards the byline. Now looking to cut back. Ocampo all over him. He does find Kamungo in field. Stabbed away from Kamungo. And it breaks for Takaoka to launch clear.
Ocampo might be the one first choice defender they have back there. All the center backs and left backs are out injured, the first choices, that is.
Getting a look at that chance moments ago. Ramiro just not quite reading the ball in the air, and Ahmed setting up a good chance for Thomas Muller. Urquide with the big block. Big goal for him last week. As you heard during the pregame show, looking to add another goal tonight, as he spoke with Garrett Melser ahead of kickoff. He's got a celebration planned, which I would love to see what that looks like.
I wonder if Vancouver's found something here where they're trying to pull Shaq Moore away, isolate Ahmed over there against Ramiro. And Ramiro, now he's 0 for 2 and handling those balls over his shoulder.
I was looking for Musa. Breaks through for Halbuni. Keeps his place. I don't think he expected to be starting a playoff game when he signed with the Caps back at the start of the season. He's way down the depth chart, but that's the injury crisis at the back for Vancouver that we've spoken about. actually.
Yeah, the thing is, Ryan, you got to establish some possession just to put some pressure on those makeshift center backs.
Ball in behind, looking for Sabi, who drew a penalty last week. This one is comfortable for Collodi to come and claim. Dallas looking very 5-4-1 with Sarver and Julio wide of Peter Musa in the attack. Even with 10 men last week, Vancouver dominating possession. That's how we expect it to play out at even strength as well. Ahmed tries to settle it on the left wing. Kaiki got a touch, but not enough to regain the ball.
We already see Sebastian Berhalter really dictating possession in there.
Kubas back to Halbuni. Julio puts him under pressure near the halfway line. Out to Ocampo. It's a real chess match, not just a 3-game series, but potentially 4 straight between these two teams, these two managers. So we'll see the game plans develop and evolve over the course of this stretch of games. Here's Kubas looking to go direct over the top, flicks off of Rios, and breaks for Collodi inside the area.
And Vancouver just got into the attacking third and then sort of retreated out of it. You don't see them do that a whole lot. Once they get in there, they like to go direct through Muller or Berhalter.
Jack Moore in the midfield. Sarver unable to keep it. It's Thomas Muller who intercepts, and Vancouver plays through the Dallas pressure. Breaks back for Ralph Priso. Tate Johnson down the line for Ahmed. A lot of the ball for Ali Ahmed. Early in this game, as we've played 5 minutes at BC Place. Albuni into Kubas, middle of the field. Paraguay international finds Berhalter. Gets it wide for Ocampo.
One of the things Vancouver likes to do is figure out where those lines of contention are and then overload the spaces in between, starting with Thomas Muller, of course.
Ramiro this time with good positioning, takes it away from Ahmed, turns and finds Kaike. Space for Kaike. He goes in behind for Sarver. Foot race to the ball. Ralph Priso, though, had a big head start. He needed it, but he does beat Sarver to the ball and gets it back for Takaoka.
Not bad, though, just for a second. I thought maybe Sarver could win that foot race, and if he does, I mean, it's real trouble. Remember, something like that, you know, Sarver only has to get it right once. The center backs and the outside back on that side, Tate Johnson, they got to get it right every time.
Johnson gives it away here to Peter Musa. Loose pass. Musa, though, loses out to Kubas. And now Muller, center circle, driving through the middle of the field. Kappas wrong side of him. Has a tug of the jersey, and now it's ahead to Sabi. Ibiaga steps in the passing lane. Kappas caught on the ball. Urguide then finds Ibiaga. Still not cleared, though, top of the box. Rios sets it back for Berhalter. Diagonal over the top, looking for Ahmed. Oh, it's overhit, and Ahmed fouled Ramiro anyway.
That was a mess there for a second. Dallas with a couple of chances to clear the danger right around the top of the penalty area. He just didn't do it.
Kappas looking a little slow to start this game. A couple of times he's been caught on the ball as somebody who's been so silky and composed ever since he stepped foot back on the field for FC Dallas, coming back from Denmark and Norway, where he actually worked under Jesper Sorensen briefly at Brøndby. Opposite number tonight of Eric Quill.
And you wonder what Vancouver is seeing there. Have they set a couple of traps for him, understanding what he likes to do in certain situations?
Jack Moore's shoe has come untied. Working on remedying that. The Vancouver crowd not happy about it. The shoe was actually fully off. So a little harsh with the boos, I think. But again, Dallas goes short from the goal kick to Shaq Moore. Finds Urguide middle of the field. He's chased back to Collodi. Outside of the 18, Muller puts the pressure on him. Lifts a left-footed ball down the field. Ocampo receives it there. Nice tackle from Kamungo. Julio finds Kaike. Kaike, a couple of Whitecaps players around him. He keeps possession. Finds Ramiro on the halfway line here on the near side. Down the line for Sarver. Sarver to Kaike. Musa in behind. I think he's offside, and the flag does go up.
And then Musa kicked the ball away. I don't think it's going to be enough, but he's got to be careful there. Just, you know, the one little complaint that you can have about Peter Musa is he takes needless yellow cards sometimes, and you know, it's just one offside call. There's no reason to get that frustrated about it.
That cost him the chance to play in the last game when he had the 5 yellow card accumulation suspension.
And it was a needless one. It was number 5.
Fortunately, didn't cost him his season entirely, although it certainly could have. Dallas, in the absence of Musa, Ramiro, and Farrington, pulling the upset last week. Ibiaga swings it across the back line. Something we haven't really mentioned is that Shaq Moore is actually lining up on the right side of the back three tonight, as opposed to the left, where we've seen him more recently. Cody goes long, overhits it all the way through to Takaoka at the other end.
Yeah, I think that was about Vancouver going so much last week on that left side through Ali Ahmed. He's got a little bit more speed, Shaq Moore does, than Ibiaga, who's usually playing on the right side, but he's playing his left-sided center back. Besides, he's in the middle.
Priso playing at center back today, but a midfielder usually steps into midfield and sprays it out to Berhalter. Now Halbuni on the dribble, finds Kubas, middle of the field. Wide for Tate Johnson, will bring it forward on the near side. Ali Ahmed, 1v1 with Ramiro. Back to Kubas. Johnson in between the lines. A little bit of a shove. He goes down, but gets back to his feet and continues to play on here. Halbuni, wide for Ocampo. And the line for Sabi. Isolated here with Ibiaga. Now Kamungo across to help. Sets it back for Ocampo. Into the box for Muller. Muller sets it up for a teammate. It's Berhalter from the top of the box. And it's a comfortable effort there. Well saved by Collodi.
That was a clever little action there orchestrated by Thomas Muller. He's got 2 runners, just flicks. It looks like he's maybe going to flick to the first, but he leaves it for the second guy, Berhalter, and Berhalter just didn't catch a whole lot of it. Easy save for Collodi.
Musa was offside again. They play on as Vancouver had possession anyway, 3 times already. Wide here with Ali Ahmed once again. Onto his right foot, cutting in field. Finds Sabi inside the box on the turn. Urquide comes across, and he puts the fire out. Ramiro can't connect with Kaique. It's broken for Ahmed again, wide on the left. Rolls it across the top of the box. Berhalter looking for Muller. Julio hopped the passing lane. Kamungo looking to corral the loose ball, but now it's broke for Ocampo. Ocampo low cross sent in. Urquide with a sliding block.
And right now we're only 12 minutes in, not even that, and just a lot of pressure on Dallas's back line. Just need to have a little spell of possession here and there.
Ramiro hoping to establish some control. There's a nice ball to switch the field out to Ibiaga. He has some space to dribble forward. Kamungo looking to win a throw in, but it's gone the Whitecaps' way for Ocampo.
You know, and Peter Musa and those 3 offsides, 2 of them that were whistled. One of them just to play on. I suspect what he's doing is exactly like we said. He's just trying to hide back behind the 2 center backs and then play as a false 9, but he wants to start from that offside position and come back into the play. Make it hard, a little bit harder for one of them to chase him.
Interesting. He actually hasn't spent much time at all on the field with a Sam Sarver, who, of course, hasn't played many minutes for FC Dallas, under 200 in the regular season. Working on the chemistry there. Working to get the game feel back after having to sit and watch from, you'd assume, maybe a nice luxury suite last week. Shaq Moore nearly gives this one away. Muller deflected it, and it broke back for Shaq Moore, who plays Collodi.
Dallas trying to play out of the back there, which is something they don't do a lot and don't do that well, and just about got caught.
Kaique, middle of the field, finds Kamungo, who's going to drive from the far side towards the near, but a heavy touch, a turnover, and then a foul committed, but we play advantage. It's ahead to Rios.
Might have been the first time you called Rios' name tonight.
Yeah, you think he'll be there in the box when the chances are generated, but they're looking for Muller, and here he is again. Muller with some space from the right half space, whips it in towards Rios. Couldn't control it. Now let's go back to Collodi. Collodi lifts it ahead, and Urquide is the one to now drive forward on the dribble. Ramiro looking for options. Runs into 2 defenders, goes down, and maybe a little bit of a bailout foul there for the Dallas captain. Muller eventually whistled for the contact.
I think Dallas caught a break there, because I think Ramiro definitely got caught on the ball. And maybe there's a little bit of contact there, but man, there's not a lot.
Restart and go short. Kappas and Ramiro combining up the near side into the feet of Musa. Priso got a touch ahead of Musa, and it's back now for Takaoka. We talked about the logic behind the decision to go with the two wingers and their speed. As here is Julio putting pressure on Halbuni. Some good feet from Halbuni, and the ball in behind breaks for Sabi. Sabi with Uragide on the retreat. Here's Sabi inside the box. Can't get the shot away because Uragide
is just strong and gives him a little shove and balances him, and then sticks that right foot in there. Had to get it right, and he did.
I mean, Sabi is not slow. And Uragide just erased 10 yards of space to save a goal. Now Berhalter will set up a corner kick from the far side. Out swinging service to the top of the 6. Shaq Moore heads it away. And as far as Tate Johnson, who's matched up there with Kamungo, and breaks for Shaq Moore. Looking to get off it. He's dumped to the turf. Hard foul from Priso. Dallas appeals for a card because I think there was runners ahead of Shaq Moore. And Priso just brought an end to the counterattack with that foul.
That's absolutely stopping a counterattack. I think if that's in the regular season, Victor Rivas probably shows the yellow card, but he's probably trying to keep the cards in his pocket, understanding that it affects the whole series, not just tonight.
Well, get ready, North Texas. The world's biggest tournament is coming, and FC Dallas is bringing it home with the club and country package. For just 30, here's Petter Musa, top of the box. We'll get back to that in just a second, as Julio had won a flicked-on header. Now Vancouver regain possession and play out through the pressure. For just $35, you can score a custom scarf repping FCD and your favorite World Cup national team, plus plenty more. Don't miss out. Visit fcdallas.com/club and country.
Anybody who's going to get that club and country package would certainly have wanted you to interrupt it when Petter Musa gets the ball near the top of the penalty area.
Yeah, his best attacking look so far. It was quickly wiped away. Here's Sarver stepping into a passing lane. He's now the furthest player forward as he crosses the halfway line. 3 Whitecaps players around him. He goes down. Referee seems to be setting a high bar for contact here. Maybe that one Ramiro foul aside. He's waved up.
Sam Sarver there should have recognized that he had nothing in front of him except about 4 white shirts, and probably would have been better just to pull it back and retain possession. Let everybody else catch up with him.
Rios losing out in the physical battle there with Uragide, who's been at his monstrous best to start this game. Now Ramiro diagonal ball out towards Petter Musa on the left wing. Petter Musa goes down with Ocampo defending from the wrong side. That's a clear foul, not given.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Petter Musa probably could have fought through that one. I think he went down a little easily.
Well, sometimes you get punished for being 6'4". That seemed to be what happened on that occasion. And now Vancouver building up on the far side. Berhalter cross in towards Thomas Muller. Headed up in the air by Shaq Moore. Last touch off of Muller as he's heading towards the byline, kept in play by Ahmed. Muller into the feet of Rios. Rios sets it back for Sabi. 2 Dallas players around him. Sabi, nice turn through the pressure. 1-2. Sabi in behind. Big save, Kolodi. Sabi denied again. And this time by the Dallas homegrown, who's picked up where he left off on decision day.
Well, Dallas got to do better clearing the ball, but once they don't do that, it's, again, a great little combination orchestrated there by who else? Thomas Muller and Sabi. He's in clear at about 10 yards, and that's a great save by Kolodi.
Possession stays with the home side. Campo back to Halbuni. Vancouver by far the better of the 2 teams to start this game. Dallas struggling to find those inroads forward on the counter. Ahmed into Kubas. Diagonal switch out to the far side. Kamungo tracking it down, but it's Berhalter there first. It's going to be a Whitecaps throw.
Bernie Kamungo hasn't factored in the attack at all.
Throw taken quickly is repelled there by Shaq Moore.
Neither wingback has been able to because Dallas just hasn't had the possession.
Here's Sabi, top of the box. 2 Dallas players around him. He goes down, no foul. Now Sarver will turn, but can't get away from Kubas. Ali Ahmed on the ball finds Tate Johnson. Johnson higher up the field, combines with Muller, wide for Ahmed. Ramiro shows Ahmed inside. Here's the 1-2. Thomas Muller, top of the box. Kappas steps in the way. Possession stays with Kubas for Vancouver as we've played almost 20 minutes. And there's a mistake from Halbuni. Nearly gave it away to Julio, but he's bailed out there by Kubas. The sliding tackle to prevent Julio from sprinting in behind. The moments are there. The giveaways have been more frequently than maybe you'd expect from this Vancouver side. Berhalter wide right for Ocampo. Attacking right back. Adiero Ocampo finds Berhalter. And then Sabi. Sabi had it taken off his foot, but it broke for Rios. Now stabbed through in behind for Sabi again. Collodi, though, denies him. Ball stuck between his legs as Collodi has been massive in these first 20 minutes.
I mean, Collodi coming off his line, quick and aggressive. It's paid off twice now. You do that, you force that shooter into a quick choice, and that time he didn't even use his hands on that one. He just slid in. The ball ends up right between his knees.
Ramiro down the line, gives it away to Johnson.
71% of the possession now going to Vancouver, and probably going up from there.
Yeah, it feels like even more than that as we play 20. Here's Ali Ahmed, skips past Ramiro into the box, looking for Muller, going for the 1-2. It's cleared away by Kappas.
I mean, those little combinations from Muller just causing all kinds of issues, as you would expect.
Musa involved in helping Dallas win the ball back. Now he's on a dribble up the right side. Eventually caught between his feet and bounces out for a throw.
Sam Hale asked early in the pregame show, what would the result last week do to affect the mentality, the confidence? We predicted it wouldn't do much to impact Vancouver's confidence, and we won't bust up our arms patting ourselves in the back, but we were right, because right now they look like a very confident team.
Well, in the 2-against-7 game, you expect the lower seed to weather the storm at times. Dallas just needs to start finding some solutions with the ball. Kaique looking for Julio. It's cut out en route by Ocampo.
We've asked Eric Quill about suffering these long spells, and he said, well, we don't want to suffer too much. Eventually we're going to break here, and that's what they're doing right now, though.
Kappas, nice moment there, wins it back in the middle. Now Ramiro fires it into his feet. 3 Whitecaps players around him, but he does find Petar Musa. Musa fouled hard. Is that Priso again?
It's got to be his last hard foul. It's got to be.
Should have already been booked.
He's the one that got Shaq Moore. Again, I don't mind if Victor Rivas wants to keep the cards in the pocket a little bit more than in a regular season game, but there's a limit. And he got Petar Musa hard there after getting Shaq Moore hard a while ago.
So Dallas will basically have a kickoff here. It's from the spot in the middle of the field, but they'll be able to send the team up the field. Looks like it'll be Shaq Moore to take. And some of the center back options attacking the ball here. Moore lifts it into the box towards Ibiaga, nodded across the face of goal. Looking for Uragide, who was in the area. He saw the idea there, didn't quite come off.
At least he gave Takaoka something to do, because that's the first time he's needed to put the ball in his hands, and we're 23 minutes in.
Switching ball out to Ali Ahmed. This time Ramiro does get an important touch, and then Ahmed with a swipe at Ramiro commits the foul. Not intentional, but he just raised the foot and caught the Dallas captain there.
Yeah, Ahmed expressing disbelief, but it's definitely a foul. I mean, it doesn't kick him hard, but it kicks him.
I think the reaction from the crowd there is them seeing the replay. Thomas Muller in the ear right now of Victor Rivas, the referee.
That's another ball that comes up over Ramiro's shoulder, and he just doesn't deal with it. He deals with this one well enough, but still looked like he wasn't totally comfortable. 72% of the possession now going to Vancouver.
Collodi overhitting that one, and it runs through to Takaoka. Dallas coming into tonight all-time at BC Place with 4 wins, 6 draws, and 7 losses. A draw, of course, tonight, probably a good result, as it would send the game straight to penalties. And as the lower seed in the series, you certainly take that if it's offered to you.
They certainly would when you're sitting at 28% of the ball.
Dallas, who was second fewest in terms of possession in the regular season, doesn't necessarily indicate a bad team. It's the other team that was even fewer in possession than Dallas was Minnesota United, who finished 4th in the West. That's been the style of play in this formation, the 5-3-2. Here's Rios wide on the left. Uriguide comes across and just robbed him of his lunch money there. Kappas sends it down the field. We talked about Uriguide and how his role might change. Vancouver, after the red card last week, essentially played without a traditional number 9. So far in that matchup with Rios, there's only been one winner. That does mean that Muller will have more space to try and float in.
Yeah,
it
almost looks like Rios' job is occupy Uriguide. Make sure you're on Uriguide. That's going to free up Muller to not have to deal with Uriguide, and I think that's where they're making a lot of hay.
Yeah, Muller might have come up with that plan himself just to get away from Osaze.
Yeah.
And no one would begrudge him that. Ocampo brings it forward on the far side. 25th minute at BC Place, still scoreless, thanks large in part to Michael Collodi and some early heroics from the Dallas homegrown goalkeeper. Okay, Johnson out to Ali Ahmed. Ahmed is back for Berhalter. Sarver closes him down and swings it through Halbuni to Ocampo.
I mean, both center backs now for Vancouver are 40 yards from Dallas's goal.
Kamungo is going to step up and put the pressure on, but Halbuni looks pretty adept with the ball at his feet to start this game. Ball fired into the feet of Sabi, pops up in the air. Vancouver maintains possession. Berhalter over to Priso. Back to Sebastian Berhalter, who's now a fully fledged U.S. international, with hopes of being at that 2026 World Cup next summer. Sarver wins a foul for Dallas as he threw his head in for the loose ball. Sarver, we talked about how he's essentially in for Logan Farrington in this lineup. And that means somebody's going to have to win fouls. Sarver has shown he can do that at a high level as well. Just giving Dallas a bit of rest here before Collodi sends it long. It's going to be important as they continue to weather the storm. Long towards Musa. Musa wins the header. Back towards Uriguide, who wins his header as well. And a loose pass from Kaique turns it over. Sabi to Rios. Here in the center circle. Dallas 3 defenders around it. And it breaks for Ocampo. The loose ball, the second ball falling for Vancouver. And it's making it really difficult for Dallas to get out of this pressure. Neither team has lost a game in which they had a full complement of 11 men in over 2 months. Peeking at the right time. Here's Ocampo sending the low ball in towards Ahmed. Ramiro clears it away. But they go about their business very differently in the styles of play on full display. Now it's just absorbing the pressure. Vancouver the one to build it.
38 touches now for Sebastian Berhalter, which sounds about right. 11 for Kappas.
Looking for Muller. This time Uriguide does win it back from Muller, but only for a second. It's Kubas now over the top for Sabi. Collodi out off his line. Got a big touch to it, and then he went looking for the ball and found it.
But again, Collodi coming off his line quick and being aggressive. It makes all the difference because that was a brilliantly chipped in ball there from Kubas.
Kubas, designated player, holding midfielder, not really a goal or an assist type of player, but he nearly had an assist there.
Yeah, I think he's a really good defensive midfielder, probably underrated in MLS.
Well, who had Emmanuel Sabi against Michael Collodi as the key matchup in this game? That's what it's been through half an hour. towards Ahmed. Ramiro wins the header. Kayike sets it down for Kappas. Kappas lifts it over the top, but both Musa and Julio were still in an offside position. So Habuni will go retrieve it.
I mean, look, if you're going to look to play in behind, and that's what Dallas is trying to do, and haven't quite made it work yet, but you can't be lollygagging around. You got to get back on side and get into good position so players can play you in behind.
Ahmed fouled on the ankle there by Shaq Moore, just on the Vancouver side of halfway.
Dallas has to be really happy to have reached the 30-minute mark, still 0-0.
Ocampo wide on the far side, down the line for Sabi. Sabi looking for Berhalter at the top of the box. Kappas read it well. No outlet ball, he just turns it back over. Down the line again for Sabi. Low cross in towards the near post, breaks for Ahmed at the back post, shot blocked by Ramiro. Muller goes for the spectacular, and his bicycle kick is saved by Michael Colodi. 4 or 5 saves already now.
It's going to be 4 by official count, but I'm a little untrusting of the statistics right now.
Colodi goes long, bounces in front of Halbuni. Julio puts the pressure on, but the Vancouver center back sends it high and towards the halfway line. Bergide goes flying in, didn't get much of the ball, and the referee tried to play advantage, but he'll bring it back for a foul against Osaze.
Yeah, Muller came out of the scrum with the ball there, but didn't keep it for long, and that's when Victor Rivas blew the whistle and pointed back to where the original foul occurred.
Campo brings it up the far side. Sebastian Berhalter. Berhalter with 11 assists in the regular season. One of those coming from set-piece service. There's Ahmed on the near side. Left-footed cross towards the back post. Muller was lurking, but he didn't get a piece of it as Kamungo was defending. And Kayike fouled. Contact up in the face of Kayike from Berhalter. The assistant referee right on the spot quickly raised the flag.
Big conversation going on right now between Berhalter and the referee's assistant on that side. There was not a lot there, I got to say.
Yeah, Kayike he took another step to decide whether he wanted to go down or not. Winning fouls, Dallas's best outlet at the moment to relieve pressure.
Officially 6 shots right now for Vancouver, none for Dallas. I mean, Kubas and Berhalter just pretty much doing what they want in midfield right now.
Priso. No accuracy on that one. His left-footed ball goes straight into the Dallas bench. Well, the one change for Dallas was Patrickson Delgado, who was injured on decision day. But he plays the role very differently than this front three is playing it today, with a striker and 2 wingers. I mean, is that certainly where Dallas is losing the midfield battle, just not having that extra guy in there for you?
That's probably part of it. Tactically, you know, they are looking to go in behind early, and that means, yes, Anderson, Julio, and Sarver have to play up a little higher. Maybe Peter Musa has to be the one to drop in a little bit more still. The issue is that when Sarver and Julio play in that far, the outside backs can kind of pinch in on them. Dallas has to have a little bit of possession to allow the wing backs to get up and create that width and sort of open up, spread that defense just a little bit more.
Dallas flirting with the idea of a press there, but Takaoka just lifts it over the midfield, and now Vancouver set up possession in the attacking half. Ahmed on the near side. Showed a little bit of it to Ramiro, but managed to keep possession. Now a quick 1-2. Looking for Muller at the top of the box. Dallas step in the passing lane. Musa dropping all the way into the right back area to try and help with possession. Nice sliding tackle from Ramiro to keep hold of it. And then Kappas tripped up by Kubas.
I mean, the counter press right now is just eating up Dallas.
And Muller will drive into space through the heart of midfield. Out to Ali Ahmed. Jack Moore from the wrong side. Ali Ahmed gets the shot away, but Kolodi continues to shine in Dallas's goal.
I mean, it's all emergency defending right now. A while ago was Urgide, that time Shaq Moore. And it's been a lot of Kolodi as well.
Borderline offside call against Ali Ahmed, but it was Kolodi with the left foot trailing. Got enough on it to put it behind for a corner kick.
I mean, right now it certainly looks like Eric Quill made the right call to stick with Akram Kolodi over the more experienced Martin Paz.
He's shown us all season long, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's gonna ride the hot hand. Kolodi has hardly put a foot wrong. Now playing in his 10th game in Major League Soccer, in the biggest stage of his young career. Berhalter from the corner. Kolodi got a fist to it, not quite cleared. Rios tracks it down, sets it back for Ocampos. Whipped in towards Thomas Muller, and couldn't get it goalward. Sarver puts it behind for another corner. Berhalter making a signal to his teammates. He's raised his hands above his head in the O formation. Setting up the X's and O's inside the 18. Left arm raised now. Whipped towards the back post. Looking for Halbouni. Got the first contact, and then Osaze wins the second header. Tracked down by Rios near the corner flag on the far side. Halbouni, first time ball whipped in. Awkward one to deal with. Berhalter shot through traffic, is deflected on the way. And another corner is coming as the pressure continues to pile on.
Yeah, 5th corner kick now for Vancouver. Pressure just builds and builds, but so far the dam is holding.
There's Musa and Urgide both throwing the bodies in the way. Get a piece of that shot.
Berhalter must be exhausted just running back and forth to either side. That's a 70-yard run to get to the other side to take the next corner kick. Right, then left, now right again.
Now lining up the outswinger. In towards the near post, headed away by Kaique. Ocampo sets up Tate Johnson. Over to Thomas Muller, left side of the 18. His cross blocked by Shaq Moore. And breaks for Petter Musa, who's looking for space to dribble into. Back for Shaq Moore. Now Kappas on the turn in midfield. Swarming Whitecaps players around him. He keeps hold of it. Now Musa in behind for Bernie Kamungo. Takaoka out off his line. Kamungo beats him to it. There's an empty net. Kamungo on the right foot. Can't get it on target. Tough angle, bouncing ball. Kamungo knew he had to pull the trigger. And that's the best chance on the night for Dallas so far.
I was wondering if the flag was going to go up there anyway. Bernie Kamungo looked like he might have been in early, but easily Dallas's best moment there. Takaoka was just on a walkabout. Yeah, the flag had gone up anyway.
I don't know, though, on replay. It certainly would have been looked at.
Yeah.
But Kamungo, maybe if it's on his left foot there, he rolls it into the empty net, but it wasn't an easy shot by any means, with all his momentum carrying him wide of goal.
76% possession now. It just keeps going the wrong way, Ryan. I'm going to stop telling you. That'd be far and away a season low for FC Dallas. By the way, you had it right on that 5-4-1 is how they're defending. I said a while ago that it's sort of a 5-3-2 when they defend, but that's how they do it a lot at home, I think, on the road, and certainly tonight. It's Sarver drops in right, Anderson Julio drops in left, and they defend out of 5-4-1.
Nice tackle from Shaq Moore. In the chat over on YouTube, the Burncast, we did have a fan who said, give me the ugliest 1-0 win with 2% possession, I don't care. And it seems like if it's going to happen, that might have to be how it goes.
I mean, Seattle once won an MLS Cup with 0 shots on target. 0 shots, I think.
Shout out to PB Talks in the YouTube chat for that comment. We certainly agree, although it's been far from pretty. Dallas bending, not breaking so far in this first half. We've got 5 minutes plus stoppage time to go. for a real chance for Eric Quill and his staff to make adjustments.
Nobody in Dallas at the break, if it stays like this, is going to be happy necessarily, but they're not going to be all that. They're not going to be dispirited either.
Saze keeps it moving across the back line. Shaq Moore looking for options. Goes out wide for Ramiro. Back to Shaq. Well, if there's one thing you can say about this iteration of FC Dallas over the past couple of months, they are fully bought in defensively, tactically, and they're willing to fight against the ball for those few opportunities at the other end. Heads haven't really dropped despite the flow of game headed pretty much squarely towards Michael Colodi. Here's a moment in between the lines for Thomas Muller, and now he's driving at the Dallas back line onto his left foot, top of the box, out wide for Ali Ahmed. Ali Ahmed cuts past Ramiro onto his left foot, low cross is repelled by Uriguide. And Sam Sarver wins the throw as he tried to make the clearance.
I'll tell you what, Dallas is lucky right now that Brian White is not healthy, because Daniel Rios just hasn't been much of a factor at all. And that time Ali Ahmed just desperately looking up, and he's getting past Ramiro over there, but Rios just not much of a factor in there. I'm sure Osazi Uriguide has something to say about that.
White and Blackman, the two recent U.S. men's national teamers, out injured at the moment, but nearing a return for Jesper Sorensen. As Colodi with a rare bad pass out towards Ibiaga. His clearance now straight up in the air. Muller wins the header, but it runs through again for Colodi. We said in the pregame, it feels like if Dallas is going to advance in this series, they need to do it in 2 games, with those guys in particular getting back in the lineup potentially as the series wears on.
Now Ryan Gauld too could be more of a factor as he continues to gain health.
Kappas loses out in the 50-50 there against Kubas. Will keep possession for Vancouver. Playoff series with the Caps continues next week at Toyota Stadium. Your tickets now for Saturday's Game 2 as the MLS Cup Playoffs head to Frisco. Visit fcdallas.com to secure your seat. It'll either be a win and move on situation or a win and go home situation, depending on where this night takes us, as Ali Ahmed's flagged for being in an offside position.
At that time, Ali Ahmed was in early, but again, Ramiro just, he's not an outside back by trade, and that ball that drops in over your shoulders can be really hard to deal with, and Vancouver's recognized that he's not good at dealing with it.
Musa unable to connect with Julio, giving away to the Caps in midfield. Kubas to Berhalter, in behind Ramiro, out for Ali Ahmed, wide here on the near side. Runners queuing up inside the 18. It's whipped in. It's Thomas Muller. And it's a darting header past Michael Colodi. It's actually Rios, sorry, with the header. Hasn't had many touches in this first half, but he has the telling touch to give Vancouver the lead.
Curse the broadcaster. I just said he's had very little to say about this game. Well, he just spoke up in a big way. But again, they're picking up Ramiro over there. It's a ball out to the left. An early cross from Ali Ahmed. He did have a couple of runners that time, and Rios did a good job of just holding his run, backing up a little bit, and then getting in between two of the center backs. Got behind Uriguide in front of Ibiaga. Clear header from 4 yards, 1-0.
3 goals in the regular season for Daniel Rios. There's number 4 on the year, and it's a big one. Ahmed with his 9th assist on the season. And it was a dime right to the forehead of the Mexican striker.
I mean, he just picks out a really good spot right between Ibiaga, over Uriguide's shoulder. I think everybody was sort of keeping an eye on Thomas Muller at the back post.
I certainly was. I thought that was who popped up with the goal. Credit to Rios, because it had the quality that you'd expect from a Thomas Muller on the finish.
Well, that changes things a lot. Dallas got to come out a little bit now. It also changes the way Dallas feels as they get into the break. As I said, they're not going to be dispirited. Change the game. Ordinarily, you might say, you don't want to get too crazy too early, because you might want to keep the score down. But there's no aggregate score in the series. Oh, Rios really comes down hard on that shoulder. So with no aggregate score, Dallas, it does affect what Dallas does in the second half, who they might bring on and when they might bring them on. Because 3-0, 4-0, doesn't matter. At this point, Dallas has to get a goal.
Well, as Rios has stayed down, some of the Dallas players coming across. Conversations with the coaching staff as we get word about stoppage time. Just the 1 minute added on. That will be after Rios is back and involved in the play, if he is going to continue here. Yeah, looking back at the goal, Berhalter splitting the lines really well, and Ahmed taking advantage of the space that opened up. Rios with the telling final touch. We mentioned Vancouver unbeaten on the season when scoring first. Dallas doesn't necessarily have to win this game to go up 1-0 in the series. They need to find an equalizing goal to force a penalty shootout in which they could win that first game. See if Rios is going to continue here, if they wait to make the decision until halftime.
That, by the way, was the 10th shot for Vancouver. 0 shots so far recorded for Dallas.
Restarts with a drop ball for Collodi. Rolls out for Shackmore. Rios still waits to re-enter. So Dallas momentarily with a man advantage. Uragide over the top, overhit, as Ramiro was the one making the run. And Rios makes his way back out onto the field. We've probably got about 30 seconds of stoppage time to play as Takeoka take his time before restarting play with the goal kick. Dallas looks like they'll be down at halftime, but it is a potentially long series. This one's launched long. Ibiaga heads it straight up in the air. Muller nods it on. Sabi looking to get in behind. Shackmore defending. Ahmed there as well. There's Ali Ahmed down the line for Emmanuel Sabi. Final attack here of this first half. I was hoping that Vancouver has no further misery to inflict. Ahmed wide for Sabi, both wingers linking up on the near side. Ramiro backing away. And the referee's lost patience with the attack, and he brings it into the first half. Vancouver with the goal late in those 45 minutes from Daniel Rios, lead at the break. A lot to think about for FC Dallas and Eric Quill. Adjustments surely to be made in the second half. This has been the first half of Game 1 here in Round 1 of the MLS Cup Playoffs. We'll have halftime coverage for you on the other side of this break. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Petar Musa and you are listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After 45 minutes at BC Place, it's Vancouver Whitecaps 1, FC Dallas 0 in Game 1 of this best-of-3 series in the 2025 MLS Cup Playoffs. Hello everybody, it is the FC Dallas Halftime Show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you by Advocare, building champions together. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a moment by the voice of tonight's contest, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. But first, let's bring you tonight's halftime stats, which are brought to you by UMB Bank. The home side Whitecaps have the possession battle 74-26. No, that is not a typo. That is, unfortunately, the reality. 10 shots for the Caps, 6 of those on target. 1 shot for Dallas, none of those on target as well. 4 corners for the home side, none for the visitors. Dallas has been offside 3 times, just once for Vancouver. 5 big saves for Michael Collodi, none for Yohei Takaoka. 8 fouls for the Caps, 2 for FCD, yet no yellow or red cards for either side. Now let's bring in the voices of tonight's contest. It's Ryan Figert and it's Steve Davis. And Steve, this game very early, as the Whitecaps really grew into it, felt a little bit like a game we've already seen this postseason. Chicago and Orlando in the Eastern Conference play-in, where Chicago just kept coming through and knocking on the door and asking questions of Orlando. Well, that's what Vancouver did. They put 10 shots towards Michael Collodi and company, and it took them till that 9th one, but they finally got one in. It was not a great half for FC Dallas.
No, it wasn't. The only thing you would say is that they had things at least locked down on the scoreboard until the 44th minute. And again, it wouldn't have been one they'd felt great about because, when you get, 26% possession, you can't feel good about it. But you wouldn't feel awful either. You would say, okay, it's still 0-0. We came here to, keep the scoreline down. Listen, I'm going to give you this game in capsule in reading off a few individual stats because right now Dallas can't keep possession. They have no command, no structure, no command in the midfield. Right now, Kaike is 11 of 17. As a central midfielder, that's not a lot of passes. Only 28 touches. Kappas, 6 of 9 on his passing. So he's barely getting the ball. Vancouver paying a lot of attention to him when Dallas has the ball. The counter press really being effective, especially as it relates to Kappas. They get around him to make sure that he doesn't get the ball. Only 20 touches for Dallas' central midfielder. So you got that. Central midfielders, 28 touches and 20. Meanwhile, Sebastian Berhalter, he's got 35 touches. I'm sorry, it's 55 touches. Andres Kubas, 51 touches. Andres Kubas, 41 of 45 on his passing. Berhalter, 34 of 44 on his passing. His passing completion rate slightly down because he's the one making these great entry passes into Thomas Muller or Ali Ahmed on the other side over there. So Muller, by the way, 39 touches, 11 of those touches inside the penalty area. So it's complete control right now, and it's only by the grace of Michael Collodi's stellar play that Dallas isn't down by a little bit more.
Yeah, Ryan, if there is a bright spot on this team, there's I would argue there's 2. The brightest is Michael Collodi, who has 5 saves in the first half, and without him, this could easily be game over already. And also, as we expected, Osaze Urugide getting his first look at playoff action in MLS, and for the most part, shining like the star that he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Those two have kept Dallas in this game, and they need to find a roadmap to possession. They need to find a roadmap to now counterattacking opportunities because as excited as we were for Musa to get reintroduced into this team, he was held completely, ineffective in that first half. Very few touches. He won a couple of flick-ons, but it doesn't seem like Julio and Sarver are on the same page. They've all been offside way too often for the way that they're trying to play. It's just been frustrating between the front line. I would not be surprised to see maybe even both Sarver and Julio replaced and sort of adjust the game model back towards what we saw when Patrickson's in there. You have a Leggett, you have a Pedrinho, or a Paxton Pomykal that could play in a sort of advanced midfield role, try and help you establish possession. Because for me, what I've seen with Petar Musa is when they go long to him, he is used to chesting it down, knocking it down for somebody who then he's looking at. As it stands, with the way that Dallas has tried to tweak the way they're playing, those runners are behind him, and it's going to be difficult unless he goes for the back of the head flick or finds a way to bring it down and turn with the defender just draped all over him. It's unlikely to work out that way. So they need someone there to receive that second ball. It's been Patrickson more recently, but with him out injured, maybe somebody off the bench can provide that impact in the second half.
Yeah, I've got a little different thought on what I think they might need to do personnel change-wise or tactical change-wise. But in a little bit of defense of those two, they're having to play so much defense, talking about Anderson Julio and Sam Sarver. You know what? The idea was to get them in that left and right central channel, get them running in behind the two center backs. Eric Quill told us their center backs cannot run with those two guys, and I believe them. But right now, they're having to defend out so wide. They're dropping into that 5-4-1, and they're the outside defenders. Well, as soon as Dallas gets the ball, I guess they can do one of two things. They can go back and try to help in possession because Dallas isn't possessing the ball, or they can get forward so they can link up with, as you said, with Peter Musa. But the counter press is so effective for Vancouver right now. Neither one of those really looks like a legitimate scenario.
Yeah, I think counter pressing is huge because I spent the first 20 minutes saying, man, the second ball just hasn't bounced for Dallas once. And then I sort of had a second thought of it. That is purely tactical. That is purely effort for Vancouver. They're the one getting in the positions around the ball to win it and to maintain possession, and that's why Dallas has found basically no out to possession in the first half.
And some of it is, too, and I noticed this very early, that whenever Michael Colodi would get the ball, instead of going long to Musa, he would just roll it out to Shaq Moore. Like we were seeing, I think you commented on this, Steve, a lot more building out of the back, and it's not something that Dallas does particularly well, but they've been trying to do a lot of it during this game. And I'm curious if that's just a direct response to what Vancouver is doing, or if they think just because they don't have the personnel up top, this is what they need to do to adjust.
Yeah, I would think it's tactical because it's only Shaq Moore. It's never out to Ibiaga on that side. I think the idea was maybe to get it into Shaq, who is a little better passer than Ibiaga, and then let him hit the second ball. Whatever it is, it's not working right now. I think, and by the way, speaking of Shaq Moore, I can see maybe a scenario where they take Ramiro off, or actually put him in the midfield, help establish possession in there because he can do a little bit of that, and then put Shaq Moore out there to deal with Ahmed because right now it's mostly Ali Ahmed to the left, and just put it over Ramiro's head, let Ahmed run onto it, or give it to Ahmed as he's facing up with Ramiro, and then he kicks the ball by him and runs past him because Ramiro isn't very fast. He's not having a happy time over there. So if
to handle that, and obviously, as we look at second half adjustments, Ryan brought up the idea, hey, maybe you sub out your attacking options that aren't named Peter Musa. The problem is, I think even if you take them out, is Vancouver really giving you much of an option to make whoever would come in effective?
No, it's a good question, which is another reason I think maybe bringing Ramiro into the middle. Look, nothing happens if you don't get the ball.
Sure.
We can talk till we blue in the face about, is it Logan Farrington coming in? Is it Leggett or whatever? Maybe Leggett can give them more possession, but you've got to have a little bit more possession. You got to find a way to get out, to get over that counter press. And right now they're just not doing it, and the offside infractions aren't helping either.
No, they're not, and just they're not generating set pieces. They have no corner kicks on that first drive. On that first half, there's not getting a lot of it.
Yeah, one of the best moments came when they got fouled right on the center spot, and it was Shaq Moore that hit a big ball into Ibiaga, who headed it across goal, and Takaoka is the only thing he's had to do besides the little runabout where he completely missed the ball, and Bernie Kamigo couldn't make hay behind him. But that one set piece, maybe Musa finding the ball one time and not able to get turned at the top of the penalty area, and then Bernie Kamigo over the top. That is the sum total of FC Dallas's offensive thrust.
And Ryan, it's not as if you really need to come out with an outburst, although if they want to, I'm not going to complain. But in the current situation, if your defense can hold for 45 minutes, you really just need one goal to get you to penalties. That might change how Eric Quill wants to approach this.
Yeah, we talked about unbeaten when scoring first, 15 wins, 3 draws, 0 losses on the season. So this is a Vancouver team that is comfortable being in the lead. They know how to pass you to death. They know how to see the game out with the ball. And that's going to be the challenge for Dallas. Can they find the moments to counter? Because Vancouver is not going to take as many risks, especially in this format of best of 3, knowing that one goal sends them to the lottery. That is a penalty shootout. I don't expect Vancouver, maybe the first 10, 15 minutes, they go for that second goal and try and kill off the game. But after that, I think they'll be very conservative, but maintaining possession. That's going to be Dallas's challenge. Can they win it back, and can they turn those turnovers into opportunities against this weakened back line that really hasn't been tested enough in the first half?
And if Vancouver does want to go for it, Ryan Gall just lurking on the touchline for them if they feel the need to go for the throat. It'll be a curious 45 more minutes at BC Place. It's almost full arena there. They've opened up the second deck for this one. But FC Dallas needs to go on a rescue mission if they want to at least get to a penalty shootout and try to steal game 1. It's Vancouver Whitecaps 1, FC Dallas 0 up in Vancouver. That's going to do it for the halftime show. When we return, Ryan and Steve will get you ready for second half kickoff from Canada. You're listening to FC Dallas Playoff Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas. where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar. The WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Palmacall, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Well, welcome back. We're just about ready for the second half of action from BC Place. Round 1, match 1 here in the best of 3 opening round of the MLS Cup Playoffs. Dallas trailing 1-0 after the opening 45 minutes at Vancouver. It's the third playoff game of this opening round. Inter Miami knocking off Nashville 3-1 back on Friday. Earlier today, Chicago putting up a good fight as the number 8 seed up against Philadelphia, taking it to penalties but losing ultimately. Philly goes up 1-0 in the series. Still to come later tonight, San Diego hosting Portland in the 1-8 game here in the West. And Steve, we've got a couple of changes that you might have seen coming at halftime. Why don't you walk us through it?
Yep, Logan Farrington's going to come in for Sam Sarver, and Kaike is going to go out. Lalas Abubakar coming in, and we haven't looked at it yet, but I assume that means Ramiro is going into the midfield. We talked about that, how that was a change I thought they needed to make. That'll mean that'll push Shackmore out to the right, and they need that to deal with Ali Ahmed over there. Ramiro is just not having a good time dealing with him in that spot.
So a big opportunity now for Logan Farrington up off the bench after that red card a couple of weeks ago, looking for redemption here as he makes his way back into the lineup for the second half. He gets us back underway. Dallas chasing the game at BC Place, 1-0 after 45. But plenty of soccer to be played between these two teams, not just tonight, but over the course of the next few weeks. Dallas going long and quickly controlling possession. Abubakar setting up on the right of the back three, lifts it down the line. Johnson steps in the way. Dallas fighting for the second ball. And Berhalter went in with a flying tackle, got the ball, but Julio still felt the effects.
I mean, Berhalter's been so good tonight. Both sides of the ball, helping on that press and repress.
Farrington getting a piece of that one from Priso, who was trying to send it down the line. So Dallas coming out with aggression, needing a goal to at least force a penalty shootout. Arguide wins it back in midfield, looking for options, gets it out wide for Kamungo. First time ball, looking for Julio's behind him, and it's turned over to Berhalter.
I mean, when Dallas has the ball, it can't be sloppy in possession. Kamungo not really making a good pass there.
Farrington, pressure on Priso. He plays out through Tate Johnson. Kappas, nice shoulder barge there with Thomas Muller. He comes away with the ball. Ramiro up towards Kappas, wins the header. Farrington looking to get on the loose ball. Beaten to it by Priso. Thomas Muller. Early touch in the second half. Back to Kubas and Halbuni. Ocampo chased back by Kamungo. Able to turn and now play down line for Sabi. Kamungo left him on the ground. It's a foot race to get to the ball. Sabi and Ibiaga. Big shoulder barge there from Ibiaga. That was a clean one. Ibiaga showed his strength in that duel. And Kamungo, another giveaway, struggling to connect. Not just in the second half, but in the game as a whole. Julio wanted it in behind. Kamungo played it to feet. The referee calls Logan Farrington for a shove off the ball there against Johnson.
Farrington not taking long to draw to get into the foul game one way or the other. It's only a matter of, is he going to draw it or is he going to get called for it?
Kappas out to Kamungo. 4 Whitecaps players around him. He goes down under contact from Ocampo. Not a lot of contact, and the referee plays on. Numbers up here for the Whitecaps in the counterattack. Ocampo towards the backside, and emergency defending Shaq Moore gets back on the scene just in time. It's out for a throw on this near side, but it would have been a wide open look for Ali Ahmed.
And Bernie Kamungo, I mean, we only played not even 4 minutes. He's given the ball away 3 times. He's got to get up to the speed of this game.
He was playing on the right when he started to struggle last week against Vancouver. Looked pretty competent and solid as he has since shifting to wingback on the left side before that.
And the funny thing is, he hasn't been asked to do a whole lot of defensive work today. Some, of course, but most of the attacking thrust has come through the middle or down the left for Vancouver. That's opposite his side.
Shaq with the ball, though that is a very low bar after that first half. Kamungo, again, can't connect with a teammate. That's 4 now for him, although he quickly gets back in on the loose ball, but again, can't connect. Musa helping him out here to win back possession for Dallas in the middle. Eric Cole did turn to Josh Torquato on decision day. He's got Nolan Norris available as well if they need to make that change for Bernie. Vancouver moving it across the back line to the far side. Priso into Kubas. And nice turn here. Rios in behind of Urquide. Full sprint to get back in time. He does. And he gets it back to Collodi, erasing, again, maybe a 5-yard head start at least for the Vancouver striker. Rare moment there where he actually got turned, but fortunately enough time for him to use that speed to get back and win it.
Sometimes he's just a little naive and try to jump passing lanes and gets himself into a little bit of trouble.
Urquide here on his own touchline, and Rios stabs it out for a goal kick. Collodi goes to retrieve the ball and plays short out to Abubakar, the right center back. Back to Collodi now. Fires it into midfield for Ramiro. Over for Urquide. Whitecaps press with 4. Dallas able to break the pressure. Ebiaga down the line for Kamungo. Heavy touch from Bernie. Turned over to Kubas.
I mean, I'm not sure there's a ready-made replacement at left wing back right now. But at some point, Eric Quill might have to have Bernie Kamungo over on the sideline and say, Bernie, it's just not your day. We got to make a change.
Abubakar defending in the wide areas on the far side. Ahmed now turning on the corner of the box. Nice sliding tackle from Urquide. Kappas fighting to retain possession, and he does. Out to Julio. And Julio trying to play back to Collodi. Gets it wrong, and it spins behind for a corner.
And, you know, it sounds like we're picking on Bernie Kamungo a lot. To be fair, Anderson Julio hasn't done a whole lot in this game either. And he just made a terrible pass.
I was going to suggest Julio maybe could be the one to fill in at wingback as Dallas chases the game, but then I was glad I didn't say it as he immediately passed it out for a Vancouver corner kick. We've seen him do it before. And Dallas are in need of a goal. About 40 minutes plus stoppage time to find it. Vancouver looking for some insurance here on the corner kick. Referee's going to have a conversation amongst the scrum inside the 6.
Speaking of 6, 6th corner kick for Vancouver.
And another talking to. They're having a podcast in there. We need to get the mics turned on.
It's a TED Talk.
Victor Rivas now in conversation with Uragide and Halbuni. As we wait for this corner kick to take place. We know Uragide, he certainly has his words and makes himself known.
He knows how to be an irritant.
Scored last week at Vancouver, looking to defend that same goal he scored in last week on this corner kick. Berhalter whipped in towards the near post. Ramiro heads it away. And before the Whitecaps take this second corner, we'll throw it to Garrett, who's on the scene in Vancouver.
Hey guys, I just sat in on Eric Quill's halftime speech to the team, and let me tell you, he was not happy. He basically said, throw that half away and change who you are. He specifically talked a lot about the press. He said it wasn't good enough and players weren't putting full effort into closing down their man. That's the biggest change he wants to see in the second half. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Garrett. Here comes that second corner kick for Berhalter. This one towards the back post, but too much air underneath it onto the roof of the net. And Steve, what do you make of Eric Quill's message to the squad?
I mean, I understand. It's tough out there right now, though. I mean, it's Vancouver's. They're a darn good team. They got they got a chip on their shoulder from last week. That said, you know, Dallas looks a little better this half.
Ramiro wins a foul in the middle of the field. Surrounded by 3 Whitecaps players. One of them got a piece of him. Referee very demonstratively making sure he takes it from 2 yards further back. And now Lalas Abubakar restarts play. Kalodi, long diagonal towards Kamungo. Campo wins the header. Sabi gives it away. Pedermusa receives it, middle of the field. Sees the run of Shaq Moore, and Pedermusa gets the pass wrong there. Leaves it way too close to Tate Johnson.
What you'd say right now is Dallas isn't doing much to get into the attacking third, but at least they've regained some portion of control in the midfield.
Berhalter, first time ball, springs Sabi on the near side. Ebiaga closes down, and he blocks the cross behind for a corner. For me, and I've seen some people in the Burncast chat mention this as well, Pedermusa looks off. And that pass, he can miss a pass, but he missed it badly. Some people mentioning in the chat maybe looks like he's dealing with some kind of injury. Haven't noticed that in particular, but he does look a shell of his usual self coming back from suspension last week. And it's tough. It's tough when you don't see much of the ball, but that's been the system. He's been used to that.
He did get cracked pretty hard by Ralph Priso as he came back to a ball. Maybe he's still suffering from that a little bit.
Crowded 6-yard box. It's the corner kick. Comes in from Berhalter. Low towards the near post. Flicked along. Habuni swings a foot at it, but missed it completely. And Shaq Moore sends it down the field. Farrington gives chase. Kubas beats him to it.
I mean, the other thing I would ask is, you know, as far as the midfield and the attack, who in a Dallas shirt does look good?
That is a very good question. As Ali Ahmed picks it up, Uragide defending. Nice physical challenge there. Sliding. Send it clear. Thomas Muller from the right side. Finds Berhalter, middle of the field. Sabi, positive first touch, rifles the shot towards the back post. Kalodi did not get a touch. I think he had it covered. It'll be a goal kick, but another opening there for Emmanuel Sabi.
I mean, for me, Berhalter and his control in midfield has been the man of the match. He's been so good in there. He just put a ball on Sabi's foot and allowed Sabi to take a touch to his right, dribble past Ibiaga.
I think Kalodi did get a touch, by the way. But it will be a goal kick anyway, so that won't go down as a save. But so far, Sabi against Kalodi, it's been Kalodi every time. Kalodi long over the head of Musa. Bubakar defending as Rios puts it out for a Dallas throw. We mentioned Vancouver's sparkling record when scoring first. Dallas have conceded first in over 60% of their games, 21 out of 32 this year. They do have 4 wins, 7 draws for 23 total points gained from losing positions, amongst the league's best in that metric. This may be the final boss battle of trying to come back from a losing position on the road at Vancouver.
see Ramiro doing some organizing in midfield, and you can't do that as well as a right wing back. And I think that's also helping Dallas in there. The problem is that as Dallas has reestablished a little bit, a modicum of control in the midfield, it's opened the game up a little bit, and Vancouver's able to get in behind them a little bit more.
Sabi looking to do that here, bursting past Ibiaga and Uragide. Ibiaga from the wrong side gets back in front of Sabi, and now Sabi goes down, and we're headed to the spot. Uragide caught up there with Emmanuel Sabi, who wins a penalty for the second straight game. And this may be a chance for Thomas Muller to put it on ice.
Uragide, he's so good. He's been so good this year, but defending the 6 is not maybe his best strong point, and he did sort of lose Rios. He and Ibiaga lost Rios on the goal, and saw him get beat out wide a minute ago, and now this. Look, there's a lot of pressure on that back line, and he's taken on a lot of the responsibility. He missed the tackle there. Sabi ran by him and then just bundled into him from behind as Sabi took his first step or two inside the penalty area. It's an easy call there for Victor Rivas, because it was really clumsy. Uragide really didn't even argue the point.
The only discussion I think that's left is there a card for Osaze in all of this? Rivas getting everybody out of the 18-yard box for the penalty to be taken.
I mean, maybe there's a card there, but I don't know. It just looks so clumsy. There's nothing intentional. It's a foul for sure.
Thomas Muller, perfect from the penalty spot, and he's had plenty of opportunities. 5 for 5 in a Whitecaps uniform. He faced Michael Colodi last week, went to the right, and those two resume the battle from 12 yards here. Muller, the master of mind games. Stutter step on the approach. And he goes high into the left. Colodi diving.
2-0. Given Vancouver's record this year, when they score first, it's tough. Got a big crowd behind him right now, too, waving a bunch of blue flags.
Getting another look at the incident. Sabi, just too much to handle with all 3 Dallas center backs within a couple yards of each other. And Muller has been precise. He's been perfect from the penalty spot since he arrived in Vancouver, and he made no mistake there. Colodi diving towards where Muller scored against him last week. And a trademark yell towards the fans from Thomas Muller. And a tall and taller mountain to climb for FC Dallas now. Still half an hour. And some attacking options remaining on the bench.
And Dallas almost losing the ball coming out of the back. Lawless and Boubacar a little loose on a pass. Shaq Moore getting bailed out when he had a loose touch.
Shaq Moore, nice first touch here. Sets up Ramiro, diagonal ball out to Bernie Kamungo, who's high and wide on this near side. Kamungo had Musa running ahead of him, but opted to go with the simple route. Played back for Osaze. Now Kappas picks it up wide on the left.
It looks like Vancouver's going to drop their lines a little bit and maybe just concede a little bit of possession.
Boubacar back to Ibiaga. Wide for Kamungo. Fakes both ways and goes back for Ibiaga. Just, I think, understandable with the second half that he's had, just playing it as simple as possible. Dallas are going to have to take some risks here. Ramiro finds Musa, middle of the field. Musa in behind for Julio. Flag stays down for now. Anderson Julio chips it past Takaoka. Got a piece of it on the way through, and it's cleared off the line. And the flag goes up belatedly.
I thought he was well offside there. I was surprised the flag didn't go up immediately.
Yeah, I agree with you. But first sign of a potential connection in attack.
I mean, if Vancouver is dropping their lines, I'm not sure why. They're pretty successful right now. I mean, this is the first time Takaoka's really faced a shot.
Won't go down as an official save with the offside flag going up.
Right.
Kamungo with Sabi on his case. Sabi wins it back from him. Breaks for Thomas Muller wide on the right. Muller chips it towards the back post. Arriving late, Ali Ahmed. Blazes it over the bar, still scoreless on the year somehow. Canadian international didn't make it 3 there.
Well, you say somehow, I think you just saw why.
Maybe it's not his strong suit in front of goal.
He's had a good game. I mean, he provides the assist on the first goal into Daniel Rios, and he's really caused trouble over there, but clearly he's not the best finisher.
Kamungo there runs into a couple Whitecaps players. Now Thomas Muller out to Ali Ahmed. Abubakar steps in the way, but it breaks back to Muller. Chipped in behind for Ali Ahmed. Inside the 18, 3 to his right. Ahmed to the byline, cuts back. Abubakar knocks it off him. I thought so anyway. It's going to be a corner kick.
Well, again, aggregate score doesn't matter, but I mean, you don't really want to take a good thumping with you back to game 2 in Texas. Be great if you could score a goal, get some confidence.
Berhalter again making the O signal. Last time he did that, he whipped it towards the back post. We'll see if I've cracked their code. Dallas set up to defend here in the 64th minute. This time they go short. I'll work on the code for next week. Whipped into the danger area. Collodi, nice catch through traffic. He sends his teammates up the field. Now looking for options, rolls it short for Osaze. Into Kappas, who's not been as influential as we've seen at times this season. Farrington dispossessed and then fouled. Trying to restart play, and Muller hasn't given up the ball here for him to do so.
There's been 2 or 3 times tonight when chaos sort of starting to break out a little bit, and Muller's the one in there just saying, you can see what he's saying. He told Halbuni a while ago, that's not what we're here for. We're not here to fight. We're here to win a series. And again, there's experience showed. He just backed off, sort of put his hands up, said, I'm out of here.
Dallas going to make 2 more changes. The next opportunity.
That's forced a great save from Collodi. Daniel Rios, he made his mark on this game, though. That 44th minute goal.
In there for Brian White, who's been their leading scorer for 4 straight seasons now. They await his return in these playoffs. Rios deputizing well. We saw Ebiaga's number go up for Josh Torquato. Yet to see who came off for Pedrinho. Pedrinho inspired that miraculous comeback win in Miami earlier in the season.
So it's Anderson Julio that's taking a seat on the bench. Pedrinho will presumably go into that left-sided attacking spot, play it a little differently, I would think.
Kappas free kick whipped into the 18. Header won there by Priso. Muller with 2 Dallas players on his case, and Uriguide got a piece of him. No malice in it, but I think he just stepped on Muller when he was on the ground. No foul. It was off the field, and Muller just took a loose touch after taking that contact straight out for a throw. Moore takes the throw back into Uriguide, into Kappas, able to get turned here in midfield, ahead to Musa. First time ball looking for Ramiro, just out of his reach, but Kamungo recovers possession. Just for the moment, it's now bouncing across midfield after an Abubakar header, and breaks out wide for Thomas Muller to drive forward on the left wing. 2 at the back post waiting. Shackmore the one defending, back heel into the path of Ali Ahmed. Ahmed back for Johnson, possession and the clock now on the side of the Whitecaps with a 2-goal lead. Ocampo into Kubas. Kubas looking to turn with Pedrinho on his back. Over to Johnson. Ali Ahmed here, 1v1 with Shackmore. Corner of the 18 on the far side, looking to get to his right foot. Puts it in behind for Johnson, who goes down. Uriguide not happy with him for going down there. It's behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, Dave Johnson making the VAR signal, but I'm quite certain that one's not going to be... no referee will be sent to the monitor to look at that one.
Yeah, they didn't even pause for it. Dallas quickly resumed play. Can't connect.
Dallas now, by the way, defending with 4 in the back. Shaq Moore off on the right, Torquato on the left. Lalas Abubakar and Osaze as the center backs.
Ahmed able to beat Osaze there. Now wide for Muller. Back for Kubas. Vancouver continuing to work it here on the far side. Priso's looked pretty comfortable in the center back position tonight, it has to be said. A lot of talk about that in the lead up to this game as Ahmed whips across into Alumi. Alumi sets up Muller, sets it back for Berhalter. Shot through traffic is off target.
Well, you're not wrong about the center backs. It's just that Dallas hasn't had the ball enough to really ask questions of them.
We'll restart play with a goal kick here in the 70th minute. Next game, of course, here at Toyota Stadium, where we're currently calling the game. If you're watching on the Burncast, Toyota Stadium renovations are underway, and you can check out the latest updates, and there actually have been quite a few. Some nice red steel beams going up recently. You can check out that construction cam at newtoyotastadium.com. And if you're in the building next week, you'll get to see it in person. FCDallasTickets.com. Secure your seat as Dallas has this home playoff game. No matter how far they go, it's likely their only home playoff game. So an opportunity to come and support Eric Quill and the team. Pedrinho, nice first touch, finds Kamungo in the middle of the field. Kamungo holding Berhalter on his back, finds Pedrinho on the return. Torquato makes his way forward. Into the feet of Musa, set back for Pedrinho. Corner of the 18, wide for Petter Musa again. Logan's in the middle, he whips it in towards Farrington at the back post. Header won by Johnson. And Dallas committed a lot of bodies to that attack. Now Ali Ahmed will lead the counter going the other way. Ahmed running at Ramiro. 3 in the attack alongside him. Chipped in behind for Alumi. Sabi goes down in the middle. Alumi chops back to his right foot. Sets it up for Ali Ahmed. Dallas scrambling to get back in defensively. It's Berhalter from distance off target again.
Berhalter's been good tonight, but his long-range shooting hasn't been exactly on. Now, Ryan, you said a minute ago, likely to be Dallas's only home playoff game. It would have to be the Portland Timbers making a deep run.
That's why I said likely. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. You're right. For Dallas to get another home playoff game after the one coming up next weekend.
Oh, nice work there in the hold-up from Musa. Finds Ramiro. Now Pedrinho switching ball for Shaq Moore, making his way forward from right back. Ali Ahmed defending. Shaq Moore lays it off for Ramiro. First-time ball chipped towards Musa is under hit. Header won by Priso. Ramiro went sliding in. Referee plays advantage. The counterattack is on. Shaq Moore out of the picture here. As Dallas retreat. Ali Ahmed brings it forward on the far side. Johnson on the overlap. Down the line for Johnson. Into the middle looking for Alumi. He can't control it. It rolls through for Josh Torquato. And Vancouver maybe just a little bit hesitant to commit the same number of bodies forward as they would earlier in the game there. Just the one player waiting in the box for the cross.
Vancouver's also sort of called off the counter press. You sort of get the feeling that they've really downshifted into third gear, if not second gear.
Well, in the previous playoff game here in this opening round, all the scoring came after the 70th minute, but Chicago did manage to find 2 late goals at the support throw, and referee saying to hold the restart here.
Yeah, Ramiro's going to get a yellow card for something that happened about 60 seconds ago.
I think we've been up and down the field 3 times since that happened, but it was the right call. I think it was a bit of a reckless tackle from Ramiro in the middle of the field, and now you have to think about maybe getting him off the field. With Paxton Pomykal, Diego Garcia, and Sebastian Leggett. Pedrinho along the left side. Chipped ball in behind, looking for Musa. Kamungo there as well. Back playing in a more comfortable position for him on the left wing. Couldn't find that ball.
The ball had some promise. Priso did a good job of keeping that ball from getting into Musa inside the penalty area.
Vancouver just going to hold possession here in the attacking half. Thomas Muller waits on the ball for Dallas to put the pressure on. Turns and finds Kubas. Albuni looking for the long diagonal switch onto the chest of Ali Ahmed, set down for Muller. Back to Thomas Muller along the left side. Ramiro out to close him down. Numbers waiting in the middle. A little cutback ball looking for Ali Ahmed. It's put behind for a corner.
Gonna be the 9th corner kick for Vancouver. Dallas still looking for their first. Dallas actually still looking for its first shot. 16-0 shots right now in favor of the home team.
16 minutes plus stoppage time for Dallas to find an inspired comeback. That's what it would take here. Right now they've got to defend the corner kick from Sebastian Berhalter. Making that same signal. I'm still working on figuring out what it means.
So is Dallas. So is everybody in a red shirt.
I mean, potentially four straight games between these two teams. There's got to be some trickery, some sign stealing, so to speak. Berhalter in towards the back post this time. Muller makes the first contact, but heads it off target.
Kappas did a pretty good job of just sort of handcuffing Muller, make sure he couldn't push something back across goal from the far post off his head. Be another change, this time on the Vancouver side, as Emmanuel Sabi is going to be replaced by Kenji Cabrera. And oh yeah, Ryan Gauld comes onto the field. Not a bad guy to bring into a game. We'll see who he's on to replace. Sabi, second straight game for him, winning a penalty. Definitely could have had a goal himself, plenty of chances. He was denied by Michael Collodi on numerous occasions. Cabrera's coming in as well. He replaces Ali Ahmed, so straight swap on both wings. And Ryan Gauld getting more and more health in his legs after missing most of the season. That's not good for next week for FC Dallas either. He's a great player. A player who combines that creativity with the industry.
The working man's MVP was the tagline they went with when they were petitioning for him to win that award. 35 goals, 32 assists, and just over 100 career games for Ryan Gauld.
By the way, Ramiro getting that yellow card a while ago. Sam Hale just looked it up for us. It takes 3 yellow cards in the playoffs to be suspended. So no real worry here for Ramiro in this series.
Arguide wins a foul middle of the field. Lumi got caught wrong side there. Free kick will be from the halfway line. Peter Musa receives it, gets turned off the outside of the right foot, looking for Kamungo. It won't reach him. Musa fighting for the second ball, but it's the Caps who play through the pressure well. And now brought forward by Tate Johnson on the far side. First chance for Cabrera off the bench to run at Shaq Moore. Johnson goes beyond him, receives it here, corner of the box.
Vancouver's movement off the ball just so good.
Tate Johnson out to the byline, digs out the cross towards the back post. It'll break for Ocampo. Josh Torquato defending. Gauld looking to combine with Ocampo again. Corner of the 18, Cabrera. Torquato goes sliding in. Good feet from Ocampo. Keeps it alive to Ryan Gauld to the byline. And he'll win a corner from Abubakar. Could have been more there. He was maybe on the back foot the moment the pass was played.
I was saying a minute ago, as soon as Vancouver takes possession, their spacing and their movement off the ball so good. The passing so crisp. They know where the pass needs to go. They get it there quickly. They get it there clean. It's, Dallas has no chance to make a press work.
Vancouver goes short from the corner. Gauld gets it back. I'll switch the field along the ground out to the other side. Thomas Muller. Muller whipped in off the right foot towards the back post. Challenging for it there was Ryan Gauld, but it's over everybody's head. Out for a goal kick.
Lumi got eliminated in the middle by Abubakar there, sort of looking for a penalty kick call. Abubakar had a pretty good hold on him, but the ball was so far over his head, Victor Rivas was never about to point to the spot for that one.
Ramiro receives it from Ibiaga. Alumi immediately on his case. He fires it into the feet of Farrington. Can't connect with Kappas. Miro sliding in, had to be careful and pull out of that challenge to avoid the second yellow. Now Alumi, top of the box. Bad touch from Cabrera, turns it over to Farrington. Farrington tripped up. Dallas will play on. Bernie Kamungo up the left side. No way past Ocampo. '79th minute. Goals either side of halftime for the Whitecaps. Daniel Rios in the first half on a header. Thomas Muller from the spot in the second half.
Even when Dallas gets out of the back, Ryan, it never looks comfortable. It's tough.
We're going to see the first action of the season for Enes Sali, as he replaces Bernard Kamungo on the left wing. And that's the final change for Dallas tonight. Sali, no action in the regular season. He spent the first half of the season on loan in Saudi Arabia. He is at least partially Canadian. He was born and raised in Toronto.
Enes Sali hasn't really been part of the plan at all this season. I'll give it back to you here.
Here's Pedrinho driving at the back line, puts it in behind, looking for Sali. Intercepted by Ocampo. Referee plays advantage as Musa caught a piece of Ocampo.
My point here is I'm just sure not what it says about where Sebastian Lletget is and all this, when Enes Sali, who is not part of the plan at all this year, spent most of the season literally half a globe away, and he gets in over Sebastian Lletget. I think they might want to get a few minutes for Lletget, get his legs underneath him, coming off injury.
Paxton Pomykal as well. Did play last week on decision day.
And it's not like it's a high intensity game right now. I mean, I know Dallas is still, would like to get a goal or two, but they're nowhere close to it. They haven't had a shot yet. I mean, Vancouver's in total control, so it's not like it's one of those situations where the game is very intense and maybe a player coming back off injury. It's a bad spot to put him in.
Right now it's a lot of chasing. Sali closing down Ocampo. Loose pass in midfield, stabbed away from Ryan Gauld by Torquato, but again, Vancouver just so disciplined, well positioned. They win it back, and now they go out the other side.
And it just goes forward so quickly.
Thomas Muller onto his right foot, corner of the 18, whips a shot towards the back post, but got under it. That one's over the bar.
It's the only thing Vancouver hasn't been good at tonight, the distance shooting. But they got a goal in the 44th minute, the penalty kick goal in the 60th, and that's been enough so far. I reiterate, though, best of 3 series, aggregate goals mean nothing.
Torquato dealing with a bouncing ball, just swings a left foot at it. Spins out of play. Dallas officially just with one shot in the game. Off target from Bernard Kamungo.
MLS package has them with none. I think they might have counted that as a.
He was certainly shooting.
He was.
Here's a ball across the face of goal. Cabrera sliding in, puts it past Collodi, and that'll be good night here in game 1. Alumi sets up the goal for Cabrera. Late addition in the transfer window. He's made an impact here now in the playoffs. And now you start to worry about the psychological side of things. No aggregate scoring, as Steve has reiterated, so nothing about a 5-0 loss is any different than a 1-0 loss, except for mentally, how damaging will it be as they head to Toyota Stadium next week?
And that just comes off of a throw-in. Alumi, he's got 2 guys around him, Abubakar and Torquato. Neither one can wrestle the ball away from him. I mean, Abubakar and Alumi both have a handful of each other's jerseys, and then at the back post, or coming in from the back post, Cabrera makes a run into the front post and just beats Shaq Moore to the spot. Just a bad day at the office for FC Dallas.
84th minute here. 6 minutes plus stoppage time to play. And then focuses will shift back to Frisco. There's Halbouni on a dribble. Kappas comes in to win it back. Does well to find Pedrinho. Pedrinho with Halbouni out of position. Lifts this one out to the far side. Logan Farrington inside the box. Has to check back towards the corner flag. Now 1v1 with Tate Johnson. Low cross sent in, top of the 6-yard box. It's Ralph Priso to clear. And it was just Petar Musa inside the 18.
Logan Farrington's had very, very few touches here. We'll get the number in a second.
Now darting forward through midfield is Kubas. Over to Muller. Vancouver looking to pile on. Out to Alumi. Top of the box. Ryan Alumi onto his right foot. Sets up Kubas. Left-footed bending shot is caught by Collodi. Sprawling save. And he quickly fires it out to Ramiro. Get Dallas going out the other way. Now Farrington with 3 players around him.
This is his 11th touch.
His 12th touch, unfortunately, is a turnover. Not much he could do there as he received it without an option. Vancouver chased all the way back to Takaoka here in the 85th minute. Priso sends it long. Abubakar wrestling with Alumi, and Alumi was offside. Referee will hold it for Vancouver to make a couple of changes here. Jodrik Krupe, Belgian center back, on for his Whitecaps debut, replacing Andres Kubas.
I would assume that means Priso goes back to his natural spot as a defensive midfielder, and that means Krupe will come in, play his first minutes for Vancouver at center back.
Final change, Muller withdrawn for Nelson. Jay Nelson, who started the season off on fire, now seems to have slipped down the depth chart a little bit. He'll set up on the left wing as Vancouver feel this one is out of reach. Dallas looking for something to take home with them. Some positive momentum as Solly puts it through the legs of Berhalter. Here's Solly, 2 defenders around him. Couple of step overs. Gets back for Pedrinho. Goes for the 1-2 with Musa. It's cut out. Musa looking to find Kappas off the mark.
Solly actually did a pretty good job there of beating a couple of players. Just held on to the ball too long. Tried to beat one too many.
Sliding tackle from Torquato. And Musa just been all out of sorts tonight.
I mean, again, though, Anderson Julio, Sam Sarver, Logan Farrington, show me an FC Dallas attacker that's had a good night. It's not been easy at all. Dallas just, for about 15 minutes in the second half, they almost had some control over the midfield, and since then, not anything. Didn't have any control of it all in the first half, and if you're an attacker, it's just really hard.
Yeah, a lot of situations where one of the forwards picks it up, 3 guys around him. Here's Farrington, going to get in down the line. Able to get on the right side of Tate Johnson to keep possession here. Nelson trips him up. Attacking set piece on the way now for FC Dallas.
And who draws the foul? Logan Farrington.
Chance maybe to grab at least a consolation goal as the center backs come forward. Pedrinho across to the far side to take it.
It's been all the home teams so far. Philadelphia earlier today. Miami the other night.
Pedrinho looking for Abubakar. Breaks at the top of the box. Torquato trying to keep it alive. Now Shaq Moore back into the mixer. 2 Vancouver center backs there to nod it away. And then Gauld takes some heavy contact from Pedrinho to win a foul.
Still no official shot for FC Dallas, although I certainly agree with you that Bernie Kamungo should have been credited with one. You thought they might get one there on that free kick opportunity, but cleared away without much danger there by Vancouver.
Vancouver announcing 32,000 fans in attendance tonight. Their record crowd for a playoff game. A lot of good energy around this team after the work of Jesper Sorensen in the front office, acquiring a player like Thomas Muller on top of that. As Solly goes in from behind on Ocampo. And if it's a yellow card, I think it might be fortunate for Enes Solly. And it is a yellow card.
Yeah, definitely tackling from the wrong side there. It was more clumsy than violent, although, man, he sort of got the scissor on that back leg. Kappa's coming over, protect his much smaller teammate. It's not a good tackle at all.
Ocampo still down.
I mentioned a while ago that he's the only real starter on their back line as far as the first choice. Sam Adekugbe, left back, first choice left back, is out for the year. Veselinovic is out long term. Renko Veselinovic. Tristan Blackman, he's up for defender of the year. He's not healthy. Vancouver will get Laborda back next week. He's been one of the fill-in center backs.
Handshake between Solly and Ocampo, and a stern talking to from the referee. Well, maybe leaned on the lenient side of things with the yellow card there.
I'm surprised to even see Enes Solly in the match, so if he were to see red, it wouldn't really affect the series much.
Well, stick with us after the final whistle. We'll talk through the action from BC Place tonight and look ahead as well to Game 2 of the series next week at Toyota Stadium. If you're with us on YouTube, get your comments in the chat for us to talk through. A lot to break down about this one. Unfortunately, not a lot of positive to break down, but we'll talk through what adjustments might make the difference in Game 2 for Eric Quill and FC Dallas.
Yeah, Eric Quill's a guy that likes to run it back, likes to find something, stick with it. Well, he's going to have to make some changes here because they just didn't find a lot that worked tonight.
Urquide just too strong for Alumi there. He wins a foul. He'll head up the field. Dallas take it short to Pedermusa. Pedrinho looking to combine with Torquato. Farrington interested in a loose ball at the top of the box. Pupe sends it long. Cabrera skips past Solly. Cabrera bending a ball in behind for the speed of Jaden Nelson. Urquide wins the header. Out to Pedrinho for Dallas on the left side. His route down the line cut off by Ocampo. A strong sliding tackle from Ryan Gauld, who looks fully fit and firing.
Now that's his game. How many truly creative midfielders are going to go in for a tackle like that?
Farrington looking to get turned up against the recently introduced Pupe. Shaq Moore gets it back to him. 1-2 up the right side. Moore keeps it alive. Farrington shielding it from one, but can't keep it from Nelson. Now Ryan Gauld out on the far side. Turns, finds Berhalter. Berhalter running into plenty of green grass ahead of him. Into Jaden Nelson along the left side. Nelson shot saved by Collodi. Collodi sprinting out to try and retrieve the loose ball. Now Nelson shot towards the open net. Out of the way by Urquide.
I love Michael Collodi's aggression there, but I don't know what he was doing. Spreading out like that.
Kappas dispossessed in midfield as well. Not much to take home on the positive side of things for FC Dallas tonight. The positive being that it's a 3-game series and that this result doesn't end the season.
Hey, win a game back in Texas. Not saying that's going to be easy, but if you can, all of a sudden you've grabbed all the momentum. You've made Vancouver nervous.
Dallas's last trip to the MLS Cup Playoffs, they did just that. They won that second game at home against Seattle and at least took it to a Game 3.
And only lost that 1-0. Seattle didn't have a whole lot of good looks that night.
As we look at these best of 3 series, this is year 3 of this format. So far, 5 out of 16 lower seeds have gone through. As Johnson's just got a tug from behind there on Logan Farrington. Just
silly.
had to take all of his body weight to hold him back.
Just silly yellow card, though, for Tate Johnson. I'm sure Jesper Sorensen's not going to be happy about that. I mean, there's absolutely no danger in this game.
Yeah, a goal for Dallas does nothing for Vancouver.
And he's also, that foul comes 70 yards away from the goal he's defending.
Saleh able to win a corner for Dallas here with 2 minutes of stoppage time to go.
Good to see a Dallas corner kick at least. First one tonight. Against 10 for Vancouver.
Whipped in towards the back post. Urquide challenging for it. Takaoka got a touch. It's tracked down by Musa.
Low for shots this year, by the way, for Dallas. It was 5 up in St. Louis when they had a player ejected in the first half.
Dallas have a throw taken by Pedrinho into Torquato. First time ball whipped across the top of the box. Nobody home. Now the Caps will look to counter. Ryan Gauld with Nelson out ahead of him. Berhalter making his way forward on the far side. Urquide commits the foul this time from behind on Ryan Gauld.
Also a silly yellow card. This game is over. These players, I don't know what they're doing.
And Ryan Gauld doesn't want to shake the hand of Osaze Urquide. The one thing I will say is it's got to be difficult as a player to have, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but to have the awareness that a goal at this point means nothing, because there's no other format I can think of in the world where you play a multiple game series against another team and there is no aggregate scoring. Bit of a funny moment there as Jodrick Poupé picked up the yellow card that the referee dropped and showed it to the referee. In a different context, that might have not gone over well, but it was just a good joke there for the Belgian.
Well, I think Victor Rivas didn't. He was trying to prevent anything more from happening between Urquide and the Vancouver players who were upset about that. He just dropped his yellow card.
And that will do it. Game 1 goes the way of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Dallas will look to respond 6 days from now back in Frisco. Adjustments to be made. They'll take their time on the training pitch this week to try and turn things around in Game 2. We thank you for joining us wherever you're listening tonight for Game 1 of this Round 1 best of 3 series between Dallas and the Vancouver Whitecaps. Tonight, it's the Whitecaps who come out on top 3-0 at BC Place. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Bernard Kamungo. You are listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After 90-plus minutes at BC Place, it's the Vancouver Whitecaps taking Game 1 of this best-of-3 series, 3-0 over FC Dallas. Hello, everybody. It is the FC Dallas postgame show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you by UMB Bank. See how UMB can help you achieve your business goals. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a moment by the voices of tonight's contest. It's Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. No highlights tonight as FC Dallas went scoreless and, depending on who you look at, even shotless based on this, a pretty much complete domination by the second place in the West, Vancouver Whitecaps, and couldn't be a much different presentation from last week's 2-1 win over the Caps. But let's go ahead and get you tonight's post-game stats. Those are brought to you by UMB Bank, and the official stats say 62-38 on possession. That does feel a little bit light. 22 shots for the Whitecaps, none for Dallas. 10 shots on goal, obviously none for the Toros, although some stat packs do have them with 1 and 0. Doesn't really matter when it's the split of 1 there. 10 corners for the Caps, 1 for Dallas. You had 7 saves tonight for Michael Clody, no saves for Yohei Takaoka. 18 fouls for the Caps, 1 yellow card, 7 for Dallas, 3 yellow cards for the Burn. Now let's bring in the voices of tonight's contest. It's Ryan Figert. It is Steve Davis. And lads, that definitely didn't go how any of us expected it or wanted it to go. And the overarching thing that I think of as I kind of process here in the aftermath, sometimes the better team just wins matches. And tonight, I think it's pretty fair to say Vancouver, in every way, was the better team.
Yeah, I mean, simply put, that is correct, Sam, because I think Vancouver, in every facet of the game, across the back line, the middle of the field, the forward line, just dominated tonight. And they have done this to teams all season long. They put a 7-0 beating on the Philadelphia Union, who won the Supporters' Shield and were the best team in the regular season this year. So this is something that, particularly at home at BC Place, they've shown they can do. And they're getting pieces back. They're only getting stronger at this point. So, yeah, fantastic performance from the Whitecaps. Completely dominated. Dallas went with a little bit of a different approach with Patrickson missing through injury. They tried to go direct. They tried to bring the speed into the team with Julio and Sarver. It didn't work. The changes came at halftime. It didn't, it gave Dallas maybe 10, 15 minutes of at least a foothold in the game, but that's about the best that they can say they came away from this game with, is that stretch where even again, they didn't come away with even a shot towards goal. Just the one attempt towards goal for Bernard Kamungo in the first half. Decent look. If it's on his left foot, maybe even a good chance to score, but a really difficult bouncing ball with his momentum away from goal on his weaker foot. I don't think it's something you can put down to a bad miss. And ultimately, when you only create one look at goal all game, you're not going to win that game very often, although it did happen in MLS this year where somebody won without a shot. So it can happen, but particularly the way Vancouver has played this season, it's not going to happen at BC Place.
Well, for 40 minutes, Michael Clody and some really good emergency defending from Shaq Moore and Asazi Urgide was enough. And you thought it might be one of these games where Dallas can just keep the dam from breaking and maybe get into penalty kicks and sneak out with a penalty kick win. And, that's those count too in the playoffs. But once that first goal goes in from Daniel Rios, that's when you start asking, how is it that Vancouver was so dominant in this one? How it was that Andres Cubas and Sebastian Berhalter were terrific. The triangle that they formed along with Thomas Muller, we know how good he is, and he was finding the spaces. It just allowed Vancouver to have absolute total domination. The counter press was completely effective, the press and the counter press, but every time as Vancouver just keeps possession. Every time Dallas gets it for a second, their counter press is so effective. Dallas couldn't get out. That's why they, only got the one shot and no real good looks at goal at all from in close. And then finally they had something that worked. And Ali Ahmed, they knew that they could. They had an advantage there over Ramiro, who just, bless his heart, he's just not very fast, and he wasn't handling those balls over his shoulders. So I would say that Sorensen had a great plan. Sebastian Berhalter was the man of the match for me, and I'm looking around, Ryan, at the Dallas lineup. I'm trying to find somebody outside of Collodi that had a good match, and it's not a lot there.
No, I think maybe you could point to Osaze had some good moments, but even your consistent contributors like Kappas didn't really get involved in this game. He didn't find a way to get on the ball and help Dallas provide an outlet, and I think a lot of credit goes as well to Sorensen, who crafted a game plan based on what he saw last week. In such a unique situation, playing a team 3, maybe 4 times in a row. It's going to be a chess match back and forth. There's going to be adjustments for Eric Quill going into game 2. There's going to be adjustments to the adjustments from Jesper Sorensen. But I think what we saw in this game, and the biggest problem, was that lack of control in midfield. I think I'm in agreement with you there. And instead of having a Patrickson, who is, a forward player, but he's dropping into midfield defensively, and it's a 5-3-2 against the ball. Today they tried to go 5-4-1 with 2 wide players, and we saw how effective it could be last week. Sarver winning the red card, Sarver and Julio connecting for goals over these last couple of weeks. But ultimately, Vancouver was so suffocating, those moments never came, and they needed somebody in there to come in and pick up the second balls for Musa. Somebody in there to mark an Andres Kubas against the ball, because he's such a metronomic presence in midfield. He just keeps the ball moving, always finding the open space, and Thomas Muller is the absolute master of doing that when you get closer and closer to goal. So just being a man light in midfield ultimately left Dallas exposed, and that's just an adjustment that they're going to have to look at making going into game 2. I think it also just, there's areas where Vancouver, as you said pretty plainly, Sam, are just better than FC Dallas. And I think we saw that the depth across the back 3 tonight, the wide center backs, they weren't up to the level that was required. And as good as they've been over this stretch, I don't want to take away anything from how good, Ibiaga and Shaq Moore in particular have been over this stretch. They're put in some difficult positions out in an island with really, really good wide players. And Sabi has been just terrorizing Dallas across both games, even when they were with 10 men. He won the penalty last week. He wins another penalty. Could have had 2-3 goals on his own if Collodi wasn't in such good form tonight. So I think they, the wide center backs got put in difficult positions, but they didn't really do well in those positions either. And we've already talked about the forward players very much impotent in the attack, unable to connect, probably the most misplaced passes in any game this season. And, that's a lot of credit to the pressure that Vancouver built. But ultimately, if you want to advance in the playoffs, you've got to be cleaner on the ball. Even your best player, and Petar Musa, was very sloppy with the ball today, leaving passes behind guys, trying passes that weren't on. And even when there was a pass that was on, I'm thinking of one that he tried to spray out to Shaq Moore, a pass that he hits with his eyes closed all season long. He puts it right to Tate Johnson, and Vancouver goes the other way. So a lot of sloppy giveaways from even your best players tonight, and it's going to be tough to win a game when that's going on.
So I have a theory on Musa, but I think we're pointing out one of the big storylines coming into this match that we talked about at length was going to be Dallas's forward line against a makeshift defensive line for the Whitecaps. And in reality, it never really came to pass because of those 2 midfielders for Vancouver just controlled the game so well. And Dallas's offense just never really got in the first year because they could never really penetrate. We never saw those good runs and those good abilities and those good times of possession. So in the end, Jesper Sorensen made up for not having a solid back line by saying, we're just going to keep the ball away from them, and that seemed to work out pretty well for the Caps.
Well, look, Vancouver, in addition to the things you mentioned the other day, they also had a good plan for dealing with Dallas in midfield, which is on the counterpress, be very active in the counterpress and make sure that you account for Kappas immediately because Kaike just isn't going to be as good on the ball. So, yes, who would be getting those balls into Muller? It's got to be Kaike. Most of the time, it's going to be Kaike or Kappas as the ball moves front to back. And if they can't get on the ball cleanly, they run the channels. None of it ever materialized in any way, shape, or form because you can't get possession. At one time, it was 76% of the possession going to Vancouver, and that's just
that was halftime too.
Absolute domination. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that was what it was at halftime.
It was 74 at halftime. So it actually maybe Dallas put together a couple of other passes here. Just a couple of numbers here for you as we're talking about that midfield dominance. Sebastian Berhalter, 94 touches, 58 of 70 on his passes. Thomas Muller, 5 chances created. That was high. And he was 48 of 59 on his passing. And, usually, guys, your central midfielder, your creator, especially as much as he was in the attacking third, the passing percentage isn't going to be even that high. But he was really good in creating the little combinations in there. And, again, 2 or 3 of those little 1-2s right at the top of the penalty area, they would have been goals if not for a pretty good play from Michael Collodi.
So, obviously, I think we can argue, we say pretty much outside of Michael Collodi, nobody had a game of great note tonight. But I did want to throw a theory at y'all about Petar Musa. And, Ryan, I'll throw it to you first. Remember that time down the stretch, where he scored 5 goals in 5 games and he was just on fire. He was consistently playing. Well, he misses last week due to suspension. he comes back in, he looks a little rough, and that's kind of become a pattern over the last 2 years. And look, I'm not saying it caused anything tonight. I think it was a total team problem tonight. But it's just kind of become a little bit of a running routine with our striker.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I have no idea what to put that down to, but I
don't either.
I definitely recall, one or two other times where he has missed a few games with injury, and it does take him some time to get back up to speed. And I think it didn't necessarily help that he was in a front line that was trying to operate in a different way tonight than what Dallas had been using over the course of this entire run. Not that I think that it was necessarily an inherently bad decision from Eric Kuhl. I think I saw the logic in why he went with the front line of Sarver and Julio, but it clearly didn't work. He made the change at halftime, and Dallas couldn't find an avenue to possession, with Logan out there either. I think ultimately what I would have liked to seen earlier is, and this is a question that I have, and hopefully we'll be able to ask him during the week, is what is the status of Paxton Pomykal? What is the status of Sebastian Lletget? Because those are veteran guys that could help you get a foothold in the middle of the field. And we didn't see either of them come into this game at all. Lletget didn't play last week, even though he was fit and available on the bench as far as we know. We knew he would have been on a minutes restriction, but that's the only information that we had. And we saw Paxton Pomykal last week, and he was looking mobile. He was flying into tackles. He was, putting his body on the line for the team. Now, sometimes we get a little worried when he does that, and we need him to, show some restraint. But he's the type of guy that once he gets out on the field, he gives absolutely everything. And I was just surprised neither of them came into this game, even as it went on, to get their fitness up so they could play more minutes next week and in a potential Game 3, maybe even get fit enough to start a game. So I think we'll just have to talk to Eric Quill and understand the reasoning behind not reinforcing the midfield with a more experienced guy like a Lletget or a Paxton, because I think that may have been the answer to try and get Dallas a foothold. It may not have worked either, and maybe Dallas was just outmanned tonight, no matter what the alignment was, but they didn't give themselves a chance in midfield with, bringing Ramiro in. They're still outnumbered 3-2 against 3 really, really high-level players.
Yeah, so on Petar Musa, as I hear you guys talk about it, all I can think is, yeah, you're right, and it makes me upset again that he took that silly yellow card against the LA Galaxy when he didn't need to. That meant he had to sit out. That mean otherwise he's just rolling, right? Might have had the confidence of setting the FC Dallas single-season goal record, so I hope he learned something from that. And then on Paxton Pomykal and Sebastian Lletget, I couldn't agree more, guys. They've been full on in practice. We did see Paxton Pomykal put in a good tackle last week as he got a few minutes. And look, next week, as you talk about building fitness, they can need those guys. Next week, if they're in trouble and they need a goal, I'm sorry, I don't want to see Inasali, a guy that's didn't factor into the plans. I keep saying that. Yeah. He was loaned out earlier this year, and they just came back in the summer.
He literally didn't make his debut until tonight.
Right, exactly. He only played the first minutes for FC Dallas in 2025. By the way, what's that?
Only thing I can think of is they know that Paxton's going to go 100%, and after that goal in the 60th minute when Mueller slots the PK in,
it is mostly game over at that point. I'm just surprised that
build fitness.
I agree.
Fitness is important, and I'm surprised that maybe he's not 45 minutes fit at this point, because he's been in full training for almost a month now. He's gotten into a game, obviously a game of intensity. It's a level up from being in training, but. I think at halftime, one of those guys could have really helped stabilize things for Dallas. And we saw the change did make some modicum of an impact, but not enough to really get them any type of field tilt towards the Vancouver end. It was all tilted towards Michael Collodi tonight.
Guys, I have a couple of things I'd like to bounce off of you.
Of course.
One's good, one's not so good. Which one do you want first?
How could there be anything good from this one?
Yeah, I'm open to
I've
good.
got one. I've got something.
Okay, well, let's start with the not good, and then we'll work our way to good. How about that?
Okay, so coming into tonight, we talked about how Vancouver had a lot of confidence. We saw it, and we heard it from Jesper Sorensen. We heard it from Thomas Mueller this week. They've got more now. They had all the confidence before. Now they've got even more. And I'm looking around at the lineup. Even Osaze wasn't a good game, because as a center back, you can't have moments where you let Daniel Rios loose, or you get turned in midfield, you bundle into somebody for a penalty kick. So to me, he wasn't. Maybe Shaq Moore. I was going to say I thought he was okay, but he did get beat on the Cabrera goal. So there's nobody for Dallas that can walk away feeling. Sometimes you, as a player, you sort of keep these things to yourself. Your team lost, or your team didn't get the result it wanted, but you sort of think, okay, well, I tried to do my part, and I felt like I did okay. Again, you don't vocalize it, but there you are. So does Dallas, regain some composure and some confidence this week?
Well, I think if I want to give you the glass slightly full, because I don't think we can get quite half full. Maybe Vancouver. Maybe a quarter amount. Maybe Vancouver looks past game 2 a little bit, and Dallas can catch them by surprise back at home. I don't expect that to happen, but I think there is a world where maybe they look past Dallas. They say, hey, they beat us when we had 10 men. We beat them pretty soundly at home, 3-0, comfortable game, never really felt any pressure, and they don't take the game 2 as seriously and give Dallas a chance to get back in this series. But psychologically, I think Dallas has shown that they're a team, particularly down the stretch, that comes back within games. They fight against adversity, and their season's on the line. Like, backs are against the wall here, and if they want to continue this run, this is their only opportunity to do so. I think it's just going to have to be a desperation, a hunger that comes from, a little bit deeper. You have to dig a little bit deeper in these moments, because that is a damaging defeat. And, as the scoreline started to run up, that became the worry is this going to carry over into the next game mentally, psychologically? Because the score itself necessarily doesn't. It just goes down as a loss. But psychologically, how does Dallas bounce back? They're going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to show the resilience that we've seen down the stretch. It's a big ask for Eric Quill to get the team up and motivated, give them a game plan to believe in next week, and show the adjustments and why he believes that they'll work. Get the guys bought in and go again and try and win a playoff game at home and give something back to the fans, at the very least forcing that game 3.
Yeah, I would say it's Eric Quill's job. You're right on the game plan. It's not his job, though, to get the players upset about their performance tonight. It's their job as professionals to be mad about it, and that's maybe the hope, Sam. Maybe they're pissed off about it, and maybe that's the hope.
I think they will be. I mean, we've seen the tenor and tone of this locker room, and one thing you can say throughout the entire season is they've held themselves to a standard, I think, even higher than their production at times, and I'm not worried about that. There is one part of this that I'm curious about, and it's about one specific player. Does this effort prompt Quill to change goalkeepers again? Because one of the things he's talked about consistently is, hey, if you're playing well, we're not going to change you. And again, I think of the people, nobody had a good game tonight, but of the people who had the least bad games, I think you can argue was Michael Colodi with 7 saves.
Oh, you just answered your own question there, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he's the one that comes out of this actually looking better. And he's
but is that enough to save him, I guess, is my question. Or do you put Martin Paz?
What does Martin Paz give you?
Yeah.
That's the question I have. I don't know.
I don't see that if there's even one goal that, we maybe looked at raised one little eyebrow on Colodi, but none of those goals fit that. And hopefully at home you're going to have the ball a little bit more,
and hard not to.
And that's it would be. You're right, and that's Colodi. Yeah. Do you want to hear the ray of?
Yeah. Give us your ray of hope.
Please do.
Okay. You guys, I feel like, are a little bit more invested into sports that we don't call soccer than I am. I barely know how many guys they put on the basketball court, but I do know this: in an NBA series. I think there's this phenomenon where the momentum swings so wildly. Like, when you lose a game in an NBA series, I know what happens. You look at why it happened, and you're convinced you're not gonna win. You're like sports talk shows the next day. Everything they did wrong, and it just sounds like you're never gonna win a game in that series. That's it. It's 4-0, and then you win a game, and you're like, I don't know how they're going to compete with us. We're going to win the rest of the series because. So you see my point, and so. I think there's a little bit of this here. It's one game. Everything went wrong. So it looks like, well, what could they possibly do? But it does work the other way.
Yeah, the series and the format of the playoffs it's an interesting one because it's not necessarily an inherently soccer format, and we don't see a best-of-3 series really anywhere else in the world as far as I know. But it does give Dallas a complete new lease on life in the second game. They can burn the tape. Obviously, they need to make adjustments. Don't actually burn the tape, but they can burn the tape mentally, turn the page, and find a new game plan, find a way forward, and believe in that, and hopefully give something back to the fans. I hope, if you're listening and you're bought in with this team, home losses in the summer, I think it would be important and a motivating factor to give something back to the fans with this home playoff game because, with this format, it's a little more common, but home playoff games don't come around all too often. It's a big opportunity just to create that environment and create that connection with the supporters.
Our good friend Mark Followell summed up this exact phenomenon very well. When you win, you'll feel like you'll never lose again. When you lose, you'll feel like you'll never win again. And let's all think back to last week when we left here after 2-1 and you'd gotten into the 7th spot of the playoffs, dodging that playing game with a little bit of help, admittedly. we all felt, man, this feels great. Like and then now tonight we're sitting here going, man, how are, we might as well just pack it in. So I think you're absolutely right, Steve. That's a great way to look at it. And, that's how the team's going to look at it, because even tonight you can make the argument, they've been playing in games that were finals. I think it was Quill said something like it's like 8 finals as they got into the game down the stretch.
That's actually a great point.
Tonight's
this was the first time when it really wasn't a final.
Like you'd like to win.
Maybe the Galaxy game you felt like you didn't have to win, but honestly going into it, you're like, hey, let's take care of business. Let's win this. Let's get to the playoffs. This was the first one where their back wasn't against the wall. Well, now we're right back to that position again where they've actually been really good. So I actually like that perspective. That's well thought out.
Now, it's not going to be easy, though, because this is probably going to be the exact...
Nothing about this is going to be easy.
No, but we knew that, too.
Yes.
Like, the playoffs are not easy. Like, no matter what happens, you're going to you knew this was going to be difficult. So as we go into next week, it's going to be an 8:30 kick here from Toyota Stadium. So pregame will start at 8. And, of course, like Ryan said, full coverage on the Burncast, the FC Dallas Radio Network. I'm sure we'll talk about this game, I don't know how much, on the agenda this week, but...
we'll break it down. We'll definitely try and give the perspectives and talk with the team. Get an interview.
Does that mean
I
have to watch it again?
You do have to watch it again.
But if it's a big producer, you don't have to watch it again.
Homework is never
Steve.
fun. You're right.
But I will say, and we won't break this down fully, but I am curious, and Ryan, I'll start here with you. I'm going to give you the manager's chalkboard for at least one change that you would make going into next week. I don't need you to give me the full 11, but just if I give you the lineup sheet, write in what you would think the one change you would definitely make.
I've got mine.
Okay. I mean, for me, we don't have enough information when it comes to Sebastian Lletget or Paxton Pomykal, but I think you need another midfielder in there. And whether it's Pedrinho, if those guys can't start, whether it's even Diego Garcia, I wouldn't mind seeing. We saw him come in decision day. I just think you can't go into the game again. They tried something with the 2 wingers, like I said earlier. It didn't work. You need more control in midfield. You need more legs in midfield. You need more options around the ball to pick up second balls and combat this really, really aggressive counter press from Vancouver. So I would swap out one of Sarver and Julio for a more midfielder type player, whether it's Pedrinho, Garcia, Pomykal, Lletget. And I'd probably also bring Logan in, but you only gave me one change. So
fair. Steve Davis.
No, you nailed it. Logan. Look, Vancouver, their movement off the ball, their counter press, their press structure, it's just good. I mean, there's a reason they went down to match day, whatever it was, 38, which is weird because it's only 34-game schedule. The next to the last weekend, still with a chance for a supporter shield. There's a reason they made CONCACAF Champions League final. There's a reason they won the Canadian Championship, Canadian Cup, whatever they call that thing up there. They're very good. So I think what you have to do back in Texas is make this game more chaotic. You got to make it more of a fight, more of a back alley brawl. And who does that better than anyone on its team? Logan Farrington. I think he's got to come in. It might be just hoofing a few more balls down to him. Let him fight for it. Let him win fouls as he does. Let him then serve in some balls that maybe you can get something off a set piece. Again, I think they're going to have a little bit more of the ball. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They're going to have to do something else in midfield. But I think the one change, if you only give me one, bring in Logan Farrington.
Well, we did that well then. We worked as a team because
yes,
we both had 2 changes and we made it happen. I think last thing I'll say on this game is, we talked about Colodi maybe is the only stock-up player that played tonight. Maybe one player that didn't play tonight whose stock we sort of underrated, and that was Patrickson Delgado. I mean, I feel like we maybe underrated his contribution because as soon as he's out of the team, Dallas completely lacks chance creation. They lack the ability to win second balls in midfield. So I think maybe he comes out looking better, and we don't really have a prognosis for him. We don't know if he's in contention to be back and available next week, but I certainly hope so. I mean, just having him available, because I think, he is not a aesthetically pleasing attacking midfielder in the way that Thomas Muller does for Vancouver. But what he brings is some of the Ryan Gauld energy of I'm going to scrap, I'm going to win second balls, I'm going to go flying into tackles, I'm going to be physical, I can win the ball in the air, and I can also put in a good set piece, which Dallas didn't have one of their designated set piece takers out there tonight. So I think his stock actually is up coming out of this game just purely because he didn't play, which isn't a great place to be, but maybe we were underrating Patrickson.
Might be worth examining, too, how Dallas's results change after a long stretch of consistency in the lineup, because we've seen once again where, for whatever reason, guys have to come out and things look different. But that's probably for the agenda on Wednesday this week, because we could probably spend hours breaking this one down, but we don't really want to. But That's going to be game one tonight. FC Dallas loses 3-0 to Vancouver Whitecaps. That means next Saturday it's do or die, it's win or I guess stay home in this case, as Dallas hosts the Vancouver Whitecaps here at Toyota Stadium. It's an 8:30 kickoff here from Frisco, so that means pregame on the FC Dallas Radio Network will begin at 8 o'clock. But that's going to do it for tonight's postgame show. For engineer Barry Walters, for Ryan Figert, for Steve Davis, I have been Sam Hale. You've been listening to FC Dallas Playoff Soccer presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
The preceding FC Dallas Radio